You're up and it's still dark. Kick back with a cup of Joe. You know you've got friends waiting on 1620 The Zone. It's Happer and Schaefer. It's Connor and Mike. Listen on the radio stream or YouTube or podcasts. Anytime it feels right. It's Happer and Schaefer. Happer and Schaefer.
All right, welcome in. Happy Wednesday. It's Happer and Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert with you this morning. How we doing, gentlemen?
Good. As I told you, I knew that there was supposed to be wintry mix, and it still caught me by surprise.
I didn't know. I was surprised.
I was expecting something, but yeah, kind of like Schaefer said, I didn't expect the snow to happen.
Wow.
It was not a bad drive though.
It's one of those where, you know, like, I just assumed I would wake up, there'd be a little bit of ground cover. I'd never think of it again. I'd leave the show at like 10 something this morning, or, you know, in the morning, and it'd be gone.
That is what we're still on pace for,
Yeah,
I believe.
no, I'm not.
Yeah.
This isn't any, but the fact that I actually like could see it coming down still in the morning was a reminder that, you know, it's still technically winter. These things could happen.
It could snow into May.
Yeah, it really could. But
There could be a groundhog right now that comes out of the ground and says, B word, sit down. Winter's still rolling for 6 more weeks.
I hope that doesn't happen.
I don't think it will.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't think it will, but you never know what you're going to get around this time of the year. So hopefully everybody takes their Schaefer. Could you pull that window open? I want to see what's going on out there. The people in the afternoon, you know, Josh, he likes to have the window closed because he gets sun in his eyes or, you know, whatever it might be. We don't have to deal with any of that crap.
He wasn't even sitting in this chair yesterday.
That was Austin.
Oh yeah. Austin, same thing, coming from the Josh school of, you know, not wanting sun in my eyes.
Whereas we say, let there be light.
Let there be light, but we don't
Let
get
it
light
shine.
till about halfway through the show.
Yep.
So we're gonna keep this up, but we're gonna keep a track of the snowfall for you, which
Still falling.
there is some at the moment. Welcome to a Wednesday show, everybody of Happer and Schaefer. We have plenty coming today. A full show here on a Wednesday. Our guests, we will have Sam McKewon and Lauren Michelson as normal here on this Wednesday, 8:30 and 9:15 respectively, and we'll catch up with John Bishop.
Johnny B.
John Bishop had his Big East Radio Nerd dinner last night.
Ooh.
So I'm excited to hear what some of the stories that were shared at that dinner. Maybe there was conversation about officials.
Horse crap call.
Yeah,
Place-
I wonder if they all just come up to him and they're like, "Hey, we appreciate your call."
You're really going for it, and I like
yeah.
it. Yeah, or something like where they where they sit in arenas and how many different places they've been placed over the years.
Garbage.
Yeah, I wonder what that was
I
like.
could
So
see that being a conversation.
John will join us on the stream coming up at 7:30 today, and that is our lineup. I would like to hear from you all, 402-951-1620. I'm sure my colleagues would like to hear from you all as well, 402-951-1620. On the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline, you can call or text that number, tweet on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed at HappenSchafe, at Connor Happer, at Mike J. Schaefer on, once again, the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. And you can email Connor, Mike, Joey, 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we say good morning to our YouTube streamers this morning. Pesky Blues, a.k.a. Debo, writes in, slow down and leave space, a PSA from your friends at Liquid Trucking. I don't know if they're actually sending that message, but I'm sure they wouldn't mind it being conveyed.
It's just a nice, you know, general message for a morning such as this.
Yeah, it could potentially get a little slick on what do they say, on elevated roadways. Were you worried about the Dodge Expressway this morning and it freezing up? Schaefer didn't seem like he was.
No,
He was like, what? I just thought about that for the first time right now.
yeah,
I don't
I
have
hadn't
to
had
take
any. I hadn't any concern of this.
Okay. You could have. had some concern?
I had none.
All
it
right.
was fine. The
All right.
roads were fine. Everyone will be fine. Just give yourself a little extra time, give yourself a little extra space,
There we
and
go.
get to where you're going and be safe.
There we go. Good idea. Wes writes in on the text line. He says, "Morning, guys. This snow confirms I am back in Nebraska after just getting back from vacation in the Dominican Republic." That's usually how it goes,
Yeah.
right? When I've always talked about, like, I want the opposite. If I'm leaving for a more tropical locale or somewhere warmer, I want it to just dump 5 feet of snow and everybody that I love and live with be in misery completely. Yes. And have to dig themselves out and, lose power and all the things like that. I want the worst for them. When
I thought this was a standard thing.
Yeah. I figured it was too, but this is exactly the opposite. We actually we hit 80 degrees while you were gone, Wes. It was 2 days ago, literally. And so Wes comes back and now the snow, he has to actually deal with it. Sad, sad, sad times.
Sorry, Wes.
Sad times. Elsewhere today on the show, here are some other things that we're going to talk about. The all Big Ten basketball teams came out, and I can't tell. I tried not to I tried not to dive into the reaction to this too much from the Nebraska fan base. It didn't seem too overly problematic from their perspective. It didn't seem like, but there was a couple people who were incredulous about what happened in the all Big Ten teams.
Yeah, there really wasn't much of a reaction to it. Some of it was sort of the funny way in which it came out, which the UCLA's website just put up the press release before everyone else.
Thank you, UCLA.
I didn't know that. Yeah, it sort of leaked out in this slow, like, one reporter finds it, another reporter retweets them, another reporter retweets that, and then you're looking at this screenshot of the UCLA website.
Interesting. I didn't see that part of it. Hilarious, though. In classic Big Ten, it's almost like there needs to be really, really specific communication when you have 18 teams in your stupid conference. Anyway, we'll talk about it. I almost predicted it exactly correct.
Yeah, you were off on 2 things that I can think of.
Yes, I didn't think Frager would be the 6th man of the year, and he ended up getting the 6th man of the year. And I said Mast might get a 3rd team, but he ended up getting honorable mention, so I'm going to count that for myself.
Oh, the other thing we were both off on this is Frager made the freshman team.
No, I said that.
I thought we went the other way.
Somebody said that I didn't say that, but I said that. I said Frager would make freshman team. I said Sam would make defense team.
Okay. All right. That's not how I remember it, but we can check the audio.
Check the tapes, baby.
I don't think we need to check the audio.
I didn't think Frager would win freshman of the year, and I didn't.
Yeah, we for sure that, but I'm pretty sure that we didn't think he'd make the freshman team.
Okay. Elsewhere today, so we'll discuss that a little bit later on in the show. A trade that is no longer a trade in the NFL. What will happen to Maxx Crosby and what will happen to those draft picks?
Man, that's weird.
We will talk about that here momentarily. Speaking of weird, the WAC threatens to not include the 1 seed in their conference basketball tournament because they have not yet paid their exit fee.
They held them hostage.
And then they maybe paid their exit fee, so they won't have to release the contingency brackets today. The WAC tournament will go on as scheduled. Speaking of courts, Nebraska. Handshake meme courts. Really for the first time in a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. Now there's obviously the one during COVID where that was going on. They've had some players that have had individual challenges to stuff. I know Kevin Gallick was looking to get back eligibility and all of that, but I don't think anything really has come of that. But this is interesting on a lot of levels.
Okay. We will talk about that, or at least attempt to explain it a little bit later on in the show. We'll play a game of hype or hope. There was some open practice yesterday for Nebraska football. I'm sure people saw things, and now maybe their Kool-Aid cup runneth over at this point. We will decide.
Definitely some Kool-Aid.
We will decide if you have if that is a good thing or a bad thing, or if it's a thing at all. Also, a couple Joey-related questions I have today. Joey's list of foods that do not agree with him is fascinating, and Joey very angry at officials.
One specific official.
Yes.
Reasonably so.
Okay. All right. Well, that's according to you. We'll check the tape on
reason.
that one. We had an 83-point game in the NBA last night.
Yeah, this is weird.
We will ask beef or troll job, and we will wonder what Mark DeRosa, the World Baseball Classic manager for Team USA, was thinking. And did he just screw up yesterday? We have evidence to suggest that that may be the case.
Oh, no, D-Row.
So we have all of those things to discuss. A full Wednesday show. We're off and running. Join us. We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. I let the record be corrected that I did not say Braden Frager would be on the all-freshman team, and then he did end up on the all-freshman team. Hashtag Schaefer was right.
It's all right.
The tape has been checked.
We were both wrong, so it didn't matter that much because I just agreed with you that he wasn't going to be on there.
That's
So,
true.
It's not that I was.
How could you let me
correct in it.
convince you of that?
You didn't really convince me of it. I was already sort of there. They have like several good freshmen throughout this league, and he's kind of been up and down. I was genuinely surprised he won sixth place.
I was definitely
Sixth man of the
surprised he
year.
won sixth man of the year. Yeah.
You know, the freshman thing, like that makes as much sense to me as anything. And it's not that I don't think he has the talent or anything. I just thought that it was sort of inconsistent. I also didn't really know who he was up against, I suppose,
For sixth man of the year. Yeah.
Because lineups change a fair amount, and you might see a team in January and you play them again, and they look very different.
And his role was pretty consistent as a sixth man.
Yeah.
So that qualifies him pretty well. All right. So we will have more on that a little bit later on in the show. We want to hear from you all. 402-951-1620. Sal has already triggered about Bam Adebayo's 83 points in the NBA last night, which I got to be honest with you. I haven't seen much of it still. But I have seen the box score, and I have seen how he got those 83 points. And I do not like it.
So NBC
Not a fan.
So NBC had the Celtics and Spurs game on last night. At the very start of the fourth quarter, they cut to the end of the game
peace.
where he was getting to the free throw line to get to Kobe's 81 and up to 83 at that point.
When was he not at the free throw line?
There was just a lot of Miami fouling the Wizards just so they could give Bam Adebayo an opportunity to pass the record. It was just a lot of that late in the game.
I want to talk about it a little bit in like 15 minutes. This is garbage. I mean, I'm not like super anti-NBA. Like, I'm fine with the NBA. Like, most people are just like, oh, this crap is unwatchable. I don't agree with you, but this is a bad entry into that category.
Yeah,
it is.
This is one of those, like, I saw the reaction on Twitter. I look into it. I look into how it's happening, and I'm just like, oh, I know how people are going to
It's so lame. But let's get to baseball from last night real quick. Now, this is another tape that we had to check. The United States in Major League Baseball, or in baseball, lost on the international stage in the World Baseball Classic to the Italians last night. Now, the Italians have several major leaguers, including but not limited to my sweet, sweet boys, Vinny Pasquantino and Jack Caglione. Michael Lorenzen, who was a Royal last year, shut down Team USA. So that was mildly exciting to me. But of course, I'm partial to America. While I am a little Italian, I am partial to America. I would have preferred that America would have won. And it seemed as if the manager of America, a guy whom I like, Mark DeRosa, who appears on MLB Network frequently, did not care whether America won last night. Here is the evidence to suggest that. Yesterday, he went on MLB Network with a show that he regularly appears on and sometimes hosts with, I believe it's Robert Flores, Roflo, and Harold Reynolds. And they're sort of getting the rundown, the skinny for the USA-Italy game. And here is how 30 seconds of that conversation went.
You got 9 bodies ready to roll today, I would imagine.
Absolutely. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to get some guys off their feet. No question about it. I'd like to get Goldie a start. And, he has been awesome. Just a leader of men behind the scenes with Aaron Judge. I'd like to get him in there. I'd like to get Gunnar in there again. Ton of respect for Italy. It's weird. We want to win. We want to win this game, even though our tickets punched to the quarterfinals, because Mexico plays Italy actually tomorrow. So the way the schedule lines up, this is an important game for us. Nolan McLean will start. He's on the bump, and he's good to go. He's an absolute beast, and I expect him to throw the heck out of the ball.
Okay, so with just that information, what do you think Mark DeRosa thinks about the game that night?
That it sort of played out as he would be fine with, because they lost by 2 runs, and they weren't really worried about winning the game.
I mean, without the result,
okay.
Without the result, like what do you think his approach was going into that game? that the game didn't matter.
Spring training, we'll play some guys, get a few at bats.
He said our tickets punched.
Yeah.
Now he's after. If I'm to like Zapruder this a little bit, like after that, he did kind of like start to, his eyes started to wander a little bit. Like he kind of knew that he made a mistake and didn't actually feel like he thought that their ticket was punched. But then he went on to say, this is an important game for us.
Sure.
Okay. So knowing that, and then we get to encapsulate the result of the game last night, which was the United States starting many of their backups, pitching many of their off guys, not big studs out of the off the mound starting or in the bullpen. Got down 8-0 and then eventually lost 8-6 before they kind of furiously came back a little bit later on in the game. Then after the game, Mark DeRosa, the team manager of Team USA, was asked about his comments on MLB Network. Here is what he said about that.
Is that true?
Yeah, I misspoke. I was on Hot Stove with a couple buddies today and completely misread the calculations. We knew that Mexico was going to play Italy and then running all the numbers with if we lost tonight with the runs allowed and runs scored and outs. So I just misspoke.
Okay. We're talking about two different things here. I misspoke is one thing. I misread the calculations is another thing. Here are the tiebreaker rules. So we are potentially embarking on a scenario where each of the top 3 teams in the pool that Team USA is in with Italy and Mexico, each of those teams are all 3-1 potentially after tonight. In order for that to happen, Team Mexico would have to beat Team Italy, who is the undefeated team at this point in the pool. If they all finish 3-1, it comes down to a variety of different tiebreakers. Do you know the tiebreakers?
No.
They are hilarious, okay? And they are very, 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 very difficult to find out in the moment. So it's best you just win.
Yeah.
Right? It's best
winning
that you just win.
is good.
So a 2-team tiebreaker is very, very easy. But a 3-team tiebreaker is not so easy. Here are the tiebreaker rules for a 3-team tie. Number 1, lowest quotient of fewest runs allowed divided by the number of defensive outs recorded in games between the teams that are tied. All right. So the reason that they throw the quotient thing in there is because not all teams play the same amount of innings,
right? Because
they get run ruled.
Off, yeah.
Because they could get run ruled. There is a run rule in the World Baseball Classic. So right now, Team USA against those other 2 teams has allowed 11 runs and obtained 54 defensive outs, making their quotient 0.2037. Nice quotient, Team USA. Now, once again, in order for any of this to be a factor, Team Mexico would have to beat Team Italy tonight. Right now, because those 2 teams are without their 3rd game, the United States has played 3 games already. They beat Brazil, Mexico, and lost to Italy. The U.S. quotient is lower than those other 2. But you don't know where this is going to land. It could be a run rule win. It could be a runs allowed thing. Now the runs earned, runs for, comes into play. The quotient of that comes into play if they're all tied again,
right?
Which seems unlikely.
Yeah, I don't know how that would happen unless they all landed on the exact amount of runs for and runs against.
And then there would be a batting average tiebreaker.
Oh wow,
which would be impossible to tie through. But the 4th one is just a pick out of a hat, basically at that point. So is the USA screwed? No. But would you have liked it if their manager...
Did they leave themselves in an unnecessary position? Quite possible.
Would you have liked it if their manager actually tried to win last night? Yes, that probably would have been better. I like Mark DeRosa. I really do. I really do. And he's perfectly well equipped to be the manager of this team. But you also have to know that, I don't know if there's a ceremony to say, Coach, you have clinched. You don't have to really worry about this anymore. But if there is, that obviously did not happen before last night's game because They didn't. If they lost, they don't clinch, and now we're in this random tiebreaker scenario.
Yeah,
it's fascinating.
Well, and it'll be interesting, how the Italy-Mexico game plays out. How much Italy, if Italy thinks that they're just good, do they not try here against Mexico?
I think there's a way where there's definitely a way where Italy gets left out.
Can they play like 18 innings of no runs and then allow one run, and then that would bump them under the quotient?
In order for me to figure it out, I would actually have to run a bunch of simulations of final scores for this game tonight.
Because you need to know the ratio.
Correct.
You have to,
And I am not interested in doing that.
No, you should.
But I am. There is a world where Team USA, one of, if not the best teams in this tournament with the most talent, doesn't make it to the knockout stage.
Yeah.
Which is, on one hand, maddening, very frustrating. On the other hand, kind of funny.
Oh, definitely funny.
Kind of funny.
Would also lead to, and this is what happens when the United States doesn't win in basketball. It leads to this whole conversation about the next time this happens, putting that team together, getting the best players.
Yeah.
Getting the buy-in from people to care.
It creates dream team. Yeah.
And so there's
you have a dream team already. This is not because of a lack of talent. It might be because of a lack of calculation as far as quotients are concerned.
It's also baseball. Like Michael Lorenzen, who's a Major League Baseball pitcher, had a very strong 5-6 innings.
That's true. Yes.
And that's going to happen. So it's, there's an element of this where it's like you don't have to overthink it. They lost a singular game. Now, did they give themselves the best chance to win that game? Unequivocally, no.
That's correct.
And that's kind of where it's like, well, maybe next time we don't do that.
So once again,
next time we're not worried about getting Goldie some token at bats. Not that he was the problem. But.
Clayton Kershaw is warming up the bullpen. 97-year-old Clayton Kershaw.
That's the thing you want to do if you want to get them to the run rule.
Yeah. Exactly.
A pressure-packed game. I don't want that guy in there.
So
I know a single Dodgers fan that wasn't just screaming internally when he was pitching in Game 7 and just convinced he was about to.
Oh, I thought he was going to blow up. I was so scared for him.
I was rooting for it so much.
No, why?
I thought it would have been a great way for the narrative to end.
You're anti-Kershaw?
I'm not really anti-Kershaw. He already has his World Series. He has 2 of them.
I was so happy.
I don't have any reason to, but if it would have ended where
I know
basically he's in there, this guy who's known for his postseason blow up, and it blows up, it would have felt symmetrical in some ways.
I like a storybook ending. He got his storybook ending with a World Series.
He
and
got
a couple
his 3rd
ground
World
balls.
Series in 6 years, and hooray for him.
Yeah, I was excited for him.
I
was
think his
really
life
happy. I took a deep
his
breath.
life would have been fine either way.
It would have been. I took a deep breath after his inning in the World Series. I'm like, all right,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Clayton made it.
Every
Thank
Dodgers
God.
fan I know is like, I didn't want to see him at all.
Thank God Clayton made it.
The next time I wanted to see him was on the parade.
Have a heart, Schaefer. He was rooting for Clayton Kershaw to die a fiery death.
Okay,
sad.
All right. Maybe I was rooting for Canada to live. Did you consider Canada?
Yeah, I guess I don't really care about Canada.
What about Ernie Clement?
I prefer Clayton Kershaw to Canada.
What about Addison Barger?
These
guys might never get a chance again.
I did want them to win.
Oh, yeah.
I will admit. Yes.
I did not enjoy the way that the Dodgers kept surviving every single time in the last few innings of that game. In that series.
Few comments here. Let's see. Debo writes in, you lost me at quotient. I imagine I lost a lot of people at quotient. They're probably not ready to hear the word quotient at 6:32 in the morning.
Usually you're not ready to hear the word quotient after 11th grade.
Yeah, I certainly haven't said it in a while. I'm glad I got it right, though. Headley writes in, weren't 19 of Italy's players born in the U.S.?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's born in the U.S. almost everybody in this tournament is born in the U.S.
That is certainly not true.
Right, but with major league players,
I would say the European countries are largely consisting of American-born players,
but some of them not like Czechia.
That's fair.
Those guys are actually from Czechia, including the 40-year-old electrician who struck out Shohei Ohtani one time.
Yeah, no,
what a story! See,
he got the applause.
you're rooting for that guy. You're not rooting for Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, because Clayton Kershaw already has 17 Cy Youngs.
Clayton Kershaw is basically the equivalent of a 40-year-old.
No, he is
right
not. Come on.
He kind of looks like one.
I mean, he does.
He is large and in charge right now. And Dilo writes in, so if you've been to Italy, are you eligible to be on the Italian national team? It appears that way. Yeah. It appears that way.
Like I said, I really want just Michael Lorenzen to go home to the small Italian fishing village and be a conquering hero for the start that he had in this, even though no one would know who he is.
So D-Rose going to have to come out today and say something, because this is not, I mean, people are going to wake up and be like, whoa, what in the world happened? He might have to say something. And once again, the difference between I misspoke and I misread the calculations, I incorrectly calculated it. That is a very, very different thing. Did he actually think that he screwed up the did he screw up the quotients?
I'm guessing he just didn't think that they would give up that many runs, is really what it comes down to.
But what it sounded like on his first appearance on MLB Network, the first thing that came out of his mouth was
our tickets punch.
He thought they were in already.
Yeah.
They're through. And if you watch the first two games, there would be no reason, if you didn't know the tiebreaker rules or anything like that, there would be no reason for you to believe that the U.S. wasn't going to be through. And then they were not.
Here we are.
People started looking up the rule book. All right, so there's the drama in baseball. Looking forward to the Italy-Mexico game tonight. I cannot wait to see what is going to happen in that. What shenanigans will be on tap for that game. When we come back, we'll talk about the disaster that occurred in the NBA last night. Bam Adebayo.
The disaster.
I mean, seriously, right?
It's not a great look.
Wasn't awesome. We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. But first, fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action because you can make picks and win money right now in Nebraska. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get those picks right. You can win up to 5,000 times your cash. I would imagine Bam Adebayo's higher hit last night as far as his points, as far as his free throws attempted, his free throws made, all of the variety of things on Bam Adebayo. So if you were on that, congratulations. Download the app today. Use promo code HAPPER1620 to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code HAPPER1620. Underdog. Make picks, win money. Must be 19 plus and present in Nebraska. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-MY-RESET or visit www.ncpgambling.org. All right, welcome back. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert with you this morning. Be careful on your commute. You may have you got some flurries that you're dealing with. You got some wet roads that you're dealing with this morning. So be safe. I wonder now, Schaefer, did you submit your voice recordings to Josh for the Alexa responses? Did you have to do that? Did Josh request you to do that?
No, there has been no.
So Odson a couple weeks ago was like, "Hey, we're doing like Alexa responses." It's like if people say, "Hey, open up 1620 The Zone," it'll be like one of our voices.
Oh,
being
very
like,
cool.
You're listening to 1620 The Zone, and I did some kind of like I went off script a little bit.
I couldn't imagine you doing that.
So I wonder what got submitted. So if anybody hears that starting soon on your Alexa enabled device, please let us know.
Should I be offended that I didn't get the invite for this?
No, I don't think so. I don't think you should be offended.
I'm offended.
You'll probably hear a little bit of
Horse crap call.
Maybe it'll just be John telling you that you're a piece of crap. Garbage.
And another assumptive call. This time, one-eyed Pat Driscoll used his bad eye on that one.
Let's see if I could. Let me just make sure you got this email. No, it was just to me and Josh Peterson. Wow. The voices of 1620 The Zone, but only if you're listening on Alexa enabled devices.
Incredible.
Similar voices.
You think we have
An
similar
entire
voices?
show got skipped.
That's true.
That's incredible.
Include Matt, please. Headley writes in, can we get Morgan Freeman added? I don't think we have access to his voice. I mean, there's always AI, I suppose.
And we got Frank Caliendo.
We do have Frank. Frank could probably tape something for us. We can really get creative with it. So I was just wondering when any of that went into play. Last night in the association. Hold on. Don't turn off the radio yet. There was an 83-point game. A man scored 83 points. That sounds pretty cool. The Heat beat the Wizards 150 to 129. And the man, it was a lot of points. And the man was Bam Adebayo. Now, face, if you're a box score watcher, or maybe if you're just a how many points did a guy score watcher, you would think 83. Wow, that's really cool. That's like Kobe Bryant. You know, remember when Kobe dropped 81 all those years ago? That was fantastic. I enjoyed watching that. This, if you just dig a little bit deeper, tells a different story. 42 minutes for Bam Adebayo last night. He went 20 of 43 from the field, 7 of 22 from 3, and went 36 of 43 from the free throw line. And I got to be honest with you, I haven't seen much from this. My research basically ended when I saw that he had went 36 of 43 from the free throw line. I got my millennial tags out. I labeled it and I said, lame. And then I moved on with my life. This is lame. 83 points, the second most ever in an NBA game. The most since, more than Kobe Bryant all those years ago. Shot 43 free throws to get this is the lamest thing I've ever seen.
Like there are, countless NBA games every year that don't even come close to 43 total free throws being shot in the game. So, like the idea that one player is taking 43 free throw attempts in a game, and that's how he's able to get to his 83 points, which, he did it. Like the accomplishment still exists. It just is one in which I am not. I'm not like super enamored by the fact
I just
that
think
happened.
It's dumb.
The way that it was described as how the Wizards and Heat were even playing at the end of the game was dumb. It was like everybody was sort of in on this, being like, "Hey, let's have a manufactured moment."
Right. Kobe was by that point he was kind of like a free throw merchant. I mean, obviously he was a great scorer,
but he only shot half of those.
He shot 20 in that game. He shot 20 in his 81-point game and made 18.
They made the same amount of 3-pointers.
They made the same amount of 3-pointers. Kobe was 7 for 13, and Kobe was 28 for 46 from the field in general.
So going back to Wilt Chamberlain's so-called 100-point game.
Oh, conspiracy theory.
There's no video or audio evidence of the game happening. They say he shot 36 for 63 from the field and shot 28 for 32 at the line. So a little bit of similarity.
Are you asking if Wilt was a free throw merchant as well?
Maybe.
I think he was.
Interesting.
Maybe because there was no stopping him, and that was the only way, just send him to the line. And they found out he's good at shooting free throws.
So you mentioned it, Schaefer. The thing about this was that, or I think Joey might have said this, but late in the game, it was just accepted that Bam was going for it. Like he was going for more than 81.
Yeah.
And so not only were the Wizards fouling the Heat to get Bam to the free throw line, the Heat were fouling the Wizards to
extend the game.
Extend the game, to give more opportunities to get Bam to the free throw line. This is a travesty. Unfortunately, this is bad for the NBA. 83-point game. You bring a lot of publicity. Great. He gets to hold up the piece of paper that says 83 on it. He should put in parentheses on the piece of paper that says 83 on it, 43 free throws.
Just have a little side note, just at the very bottom corner of that piece of paper.
43 free throws attempted.
Yeah. So the other day we had it on the rundown. We never got to it, but the NBA stepped in and they are preventing the Atlanta Hawks from having a celebration for Magic City, a renowned gentleman's establishment.
Indeed.
And one that's very well known throughout NBA circles. And so the Hawks were going to celebrate this establishment. The NBA says, no, we have partners. We have people that are like, we don't want this. So unfortunately, you can't do this.
I don't get why they canceled the appearance from T.I. What's T.I. got to do with this?
I don't understand why they stepped in at all, because this is significantly more embarrassing for your product.
Great point.
Than an NBA team celebrating a renowned establishment amongst your league's players.
A great point. It is much more embarrassing.
Like this makes you look stupid.
I like the NBA. People. It's insufferable to me that people will see any NBA headline and they'll just be like, this crap is unwatchable. This is garbage. And I hate everything about it. That is not generally true for the NBA. But this is a horrible, horrible example. This is just a bad. This is a bad deal.
My larger issue with the NBA is that it's basically just like an Us Weekly magazine. It's not the
way it's covered,
right? And so it's not it's not compelling to me, because I don't find it to be. I find the drama to largely be manufactured and all of that. When it turns out that the results like this come off as manufactured, that makes your league look really, really bad.
Well, and just that we've seen quite the uptick in free throw hunting over the last several years.
Yes, we did.
The MVP last year was not necessarily helping that narrative.
No, he's not helping it again this year.
He's not helping it again this year.
He's paving the way for back-to-back, as we see.
Yikes. But
it leads to little Braden Smiths. And their chicken legs.
Do you think that's why Braden Smith became Braden Smith? Because he wanted to be like SGA and be a free throw
probably
merchant?
Saw this and thought, hey, that's cool.
It's me.
43 free throw attempts. I can do that in a Big Ten game. Just watch on Friday night at 5:30.
He probably was like Anthony Calandria and said wow. That was wild. That was wild. I saw 83 points and 43 free throws attempted, and I said, what in the hell is going on here?
I just saw the name, and I was like, well, that is one of the NBA players of names I do know.
Bam Adebayo would not have been on my list of the next possible people to score 83
one of
points.
the most common things I saw in the reaction to this is, you could have given me X amount of guesses, wouldn't have come close.
If I saw the box score and not the name of the player, I would assume it would have been SGA, considering the free throw merchants we've been seeing throughout the year and how he's been getting to the line.
The most likely guy to do it is Luka. The most likely guy to get 100.
He had 74 points, I think, a couple of years ago.
So he is absolutely the most likely guy to get that number, or 100 or whatever. It's got to happen within the next few years during his prime, and then before he gets fat or whatever again. And then the league is being officiated the way it's being officiated right now. And you seem to have this wrapping your arms around historic moments, like we saw last night. It's like, oh my God, he's at 74 points. Let's do it. It if Luka gets that number again, they're going to be like, all right, sweet, let's not take him out and let's foul him a whole bunch.
Well,
he could go to the free throw line 40 times in the game and score another 30 baskets from the field, and there you go.
it's possible to happen in a high scoring game because Luka doesn't play defense at all, so might as well let it happen.
Great point, Joe.
If you're like sitting in the arena and you know that this guy is sitting on 67 points or whatever going into the fourth, are you like rooting for them the fouls at the end of this?
I'm rooting for him to get the ball, not to be fouled. That's the problem.
It's just a weird, but here we are.
We're
talking about it.
Shout
so it
out
exists in that vein
to the NBA and their TMZ league.
We wouldn't be talking about it without this.
Let's take a break. We'll come back 7 o'clock hour. Plenty to come on Happer and Schaefer right here on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. 7 o'clock on the dot. 7 o'clock on the dot. We're back on Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone, and on 1620thezone.com. Hopefully your commute is safe and sound this morning. A little bit of precip, a little bit of snow coming out of the sky. Don't worry, it's okay. The snow will be gone and off your yards by this afternoon. Everything is going to be fine.
Just don't be stupid while driving.
Don't be stupid while driving. That is good advice from a former traffic man, Joey. Well done by you. We're going to take a phone call here in a second, but in this segment, we're going to play a little game of hype or hope regarding Nebraska football and what was seen at practice yesterday. Ooh, observations and takeaways and things like that. So we'll do that here in just a moment. Let's take a phone call on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline from our good friend, Random Mike. Hi, Mike. Good morning.
Hey, guys. I heard something yesterday, and first of all, it was an interview, and I think it was with Jess Cootie. Do you guys know her?
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, I'm impressed. I'm a fan of hers. I think she's really good at what she does. And
Agreed.
I think she's a really good interviewer. I don't know if you guys agree with that.
Yeah, obviously she has really good relationships with everybody in there because she's around all the time. So yeah, she's good.
And frankly, I don't know how the hell we got her out of Oklahoma, because I remember when we played back there, it was sort of a homecoming for her. It was football or whatever. And you could tell from interviews with the Oklahoma media people, how much they liked her and missed her. But whatever. She's really good at getting players to relax. And in these interviews, and she was interviewing Frager, and I'm pretty sure it was his interview with her, where he said he's had three injuries in the lower body recently. And I hadn't heard that before. I think we heard about the ankle, and then he said the knee and the foot. And anybody watching him knows he hasn't been what he was earlier in the year. I mean, think of the road games we won. Ohio State, remember, he kind of took over there. And it's so tough to win on the road, and everybody's good. In the Illinois game, he made some unbelievable plays. And then the Michigan State game at home, remember, he makes a great play, and then what did he do? Point his finger? I don't know what the hell he did.
Finger guns.
Technical.
Finger guns.
Yeah, and that changed the game. I mean, that got Michigan State back in the game, right? They called the technical, and they got the ball and all that. And my point is, you were wondering why are the coaches rewarding him when he hasn't been that good lately? I think they know how good he was and that he was hurt. But when he talked about the three injuries, and what I'm thinking is, because we've seen him near the basket recently where he's kind of afraid to take it up, like he's afraid it's going to get blocked. And that wasn't the case earlier in the year. He has that explosive quality that they need. And I'm just thinking, let's get him healthy. And if it takes playing him not much in the Big Ten tournament to get him healthy for the NCAA tournament, this could mean a game or two in the NCAA. I mean, what do you think?
Interesting. I don't know. I don't tend to think that his that he is like hampered so much by injuries right now that he would need to just take this week off. Like I don't like that's not at the top of mind for me right now. But that's just the way I think about it, Mike. I'm not sure.
Yeah, obviously he's good enough to play, but he's not what he was. And I mean, you've seen that, right? Around the basket.
I mean, Mikey had a 15, 21, 17-point stretch over his last 5 games. He's coming off of 2 points against UCLA and 6 against Iowa, in which he only played 40 total minutes in those games. UCLA, he didn't play well. Like, I don't think it's going to make a difference whether he plays in the Big Ten tournament or not. I think this is sort of where he's at physically. I think he's got to be able to work around that, like all the players go through a season and kind of have these things. And I think what he'll give Nebraska is going to largely be the same whether he plays or not against Purdue or whoever they would have Friday afternoon.
I'm just thinking, if we can, let's get him as healthy as my goodness, when you're talking about 3, and a lot of times people don't confide in the injuries they have, and they really shouldn't. And it's making excuses or whatever. But I'd say if we can get him healthier, because he's got that. It's interesting to hear the other players talk about. Did you hear what Sam said? He said last year, when they lost those games at the end of the year and didn't make any. He said if Frager was playing on the on the team instead of redshirting, and that was a tough decision for them. That they probably would have made the NCAA tournament. And the way the other players talked about him, I remember Jamarcus saying early in the year when they asked him about Traeger, he said he's a pro. And he's just got that extra ability that they all recognize. Where even in practice last year, as a young kid, that he was often the best player on the team. And they've said that. So that's what I'm thinking. If we can get him that burst that he had earlier, and maybe he can't at this point, but when he said 3 different injuries, that's tough to deal with.
Yeah, Mike, good to hear from you. Thanks for the call.
Okay.
All right, that's random Mike. So, first of all, to go back to last year with him when he was redshirting, I just, you hear it from everybody, like he was just not emotionally ready to be a player for Nebraska last year. He came in as an unrefined product, and there's obviously some talent there, and just wasn't ready to be out there. I don't view what's going on with him right now. Maybe it starts with injuries, but like you said, Schaefer, like guys are a little beat up. I think maybe he doesn't have the exact same, cut and burst that he had earlier in the season, but I just think a lot of this is mental. A lot of this is emotional for him. He, Fred said that on the radio the other night. He's like, yeah, he's sitting away from the team during that one huddle that everybody got the picture of, and people were sort of freaked out about. Like, this is part of a learning process for a young guy like that, who's got a lot of pressure and expectations and thinks a lot of himself, to whether it's be out there or play really, really well. He just can't let one bad mistake get under his skin that much. And I do feel like that is part of what's happening with Frager.
Yeah, and again, in that stretch, and it's Penn State, Maryland, USC, so make of that what you will. Like he's 17 of 34 and 11 from 13 from the line. Like that's in there. He can play like that.
Yeah, it's not like he's been ineffective either.
Right.
I just think sometimes he rides the emotional wave, and that's been the book with him.
I also think, and again, we talked about this, like there's just an ebb and flow of how these things work with a team where on a different night, different guys step up. So if Berkay and Jacobson are scoring more and getting more minutes, it's going to come at the expense of Frager more than likely. And so you just have these things in there. You go through his box score, and he had 0 points in the game they won against Illinois this year. But they needed him, and they needed every one of his points against Ohio State to overcome, their own offensive malaise in the second half. Like that's just kind of how this works. Like there's going to be a moment, more than likely, in the next handful of games that they play, however many that is, where Frager is going to be really, really valuable for them. Then there's going to be times where it's 2 to 3 other guys on the team. Like that's just the way that they're set up.
And he has to be able to understand that.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing with him, right? I think he thinks he's the best guy, and sometimes he's not. Yeah. And sometimes it has to come from other places. This is the positive part of Nebraska having the infrastructure and the age and experience that they have around him, and leaning on those guys. Like you don't necessarily, if he's being unproductive for you or reverse productive, you could just sit him down.
Right.
And he could hopefully, learn that mistake that way.
And I don't know if he thinks he's the best guy or not, but I want him to think that. I want him to have that confidence, because that's how he plays when he's out there, and that's when you're going to get the best version of him. But I don't think there's any reason to go into the Purdue game and be like, all right, we only want to get him X amount of minutes or whatever it is. I don't think Fred ever wants to restrict himself on what he wants to do. I think he wants to react to how things are playing out in front of him.
Agreed.
And have all the options available in the moment of which you need to.
Let's do one or two of these hyper hopes. We could spread these throughout the show. We don't have like a whole bunch of time to get to all of them here in this segment. So yesterday, Nebraska had a period of open practice. There were some videos. Oh, did you see the videos of the handshakes?
No, I didn't watch the handshake videos.
Why not?
I was, focused on picking out the videos that most interested me. And
which ones were those?
Anything that just was involving movement and throwing that wasn't shaking of hands, I guess.
Well, shaking hands is movement.
Yeah. Is it functional movement that I care about on a football field?
Do not care about team chemistry, Schaefer.
I mean, In the sense that it's nice when it's good and they tell you how good it is.
Yeah.
Yes. In the sense that it doesn't really matter to me when it's 3rd and 4. No.
I'm with you for the record. I don't really care about any of this either. But honestly, I didn't see a whole lot super productive yesterday because once again, I think we overdo this. So that, I mean, as we say every single spring, we're going to get a window into spring practice. It's like, oh, people are dying for their window into spring practice, and I get it. People got to do their jobs. They got to get their B-roll and crap like that. But what are you actually getting out of it? Nothing. We don't know any more about Nebraska football today than we did yesterday, but we do know what the coaches are saying. And we have a sense of sort of the general direction of things here. And so here are some items of potential Kool-Aid that you might be hearing right now or over the next couple weeks. And we are here to arbitrate whether it is real or not real.
Basically. Yeah, it's basically a buy or sell. I mean, is it something that you're believing what they're saying, or it makes you feel better about the position as a whole or the team as a whole? That would be a hope. And if it's just sort of out there and exists and you're hearing it and you maybe want to respond with a fart noise, we're going to call it hype.
That's great. I might respond with a fart noise.
You could.
Too.
You'd have that option.
All right, so feed them to me. I will arbitrate, or I will help discuss this, and you will as well.
We'll start with Anthony Calandria, who's going to be a topic of conversation all spring, all summer, all fall, because he is Nebraska's quarterback. And
that's true. He does handshakes too.
He does handshakes, and people really like the handshakes, and there's video of the handshakes if you would like to watch them, but don't feel compelled to have to watch the handshake.
No, you should watch it.
Okay, well,
watch the handshake.
We'll disagree. That's a hype for me. It's a hope for Connor. We'll call that one off the bat. But no, as it relates to Anthony Calandria, and this is something we've covered a little bit already, but Dana Holgorsen spoke about it over the weekend. He's had several quotes. He even talked about how former Heisman winner Eric Crouch leaned over at practice and was like, man, that kid's exciting when talking about Anthony Calandria, which just got Dana Holgorsen fired up in the same way, just like he was fired up when chatting about him. But he had this to say. I was talking with Rule out there kind of mid-scrimmage, and I was like, he does some things I've never had. I've never had that mobile of a quarterback. So, I ask you, we've kind of talked about this. We've talked about the differences of these guys. We've talked about the differences in personality. We've talked about the differences in play style. And I'll try to refine this as best I can. Does the conversation about Anthony Calandria's mobile nature, the ability to either extend the play or, quite frankly, how you can utilize him as a runner in your offense, is this a spring hype, or does this give you fall hope?
Well, he is going to run.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm trying to get at is that was always true. Do you think this really does this move the needle?
Does it make the offense better?
Yeah.
That I don't know. That is a hope.
Yeah.
That would be a hope.
Okay, so we should probably again define hype is the fart noise, kind of like you don't know what to do with it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Hope is you actually believe this is something that gives you hope for the upcoming.
Oh, okay, that's hype. Yeah. Right. Oh, okay. I flipped them. I flipped them in my head. So that is hype. Not to say that it's automatically going to be bad. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think there's a lot of stuff that Calandria brings to the table that excite me. Certainly more so than Dylan Raiola, and I think we've outlined those pretty well over the last couple months. Like
he
brings an energy to the table, which is awesome. Like I think there is, I just think there's a wide variance in what he's doing, and a lot of how Nebraska centers it around him, and the players around him are going to decide ultimately how good he is. Does Nebraska have the infrastructure necessary to be able to withstand a quarterback with this much variance? I don't know. We will find out when the season comes along. So him being better, or I don't know how people are exactly characterizing this, but him being also so much better than Dylan Raiola, that is hype for me. That is hype.
So that's kind of where I come at with it as well, because I am very intrigued by Anthony Calandria. I like what I've heard. I, like you, am, the idea of the style, and maybe this is something Nebraska needed after the last 2 years where the offense just felt like it would get bogged down and unable
Intriguing,
to get past
intriguing, but no guarantee.
Yeah.
I guess that's how I'd put it.
I'm interested in all of that. The part of it where it comes down for me is hype is just simply everything becomes this sort of comparison of, well, he does this and Dylan didn't. He does this and Dylan
He
didn't.
definitely does a lot of things that Dylan didn't.
Yeah, he unlocked stuff that we couldn't do with Dylan. Okay, great. Like, he also showed you that he could do that at UNLV. Like, it's just a very different, so there's this element for me where I'm not interested in the comparison to what he can do relative to Dylan. I'm interested in what does this do relative to your ability to put up points offensively. And so him being able to extend plays, great. It doesn't really matter if at the end of that play is him running around and the ball gets thrown and it's intercepted.
Agreed.
Him running around and they still don't get the first down anyways. Him running around and getting sacked and you lose 17 yards. There's
Not
always
helpful.
this, element to it. And being mobile is fantastic. Running more with your quarterback is intriguing. He's got to be able to stay healthy. And that
Dangerous.
is sort of like the,
He is sort of a tiny baby. Did you see him yesterday doing those handshakes?
he is not.
He's kind of small.
He's not, we're coming off of like Dylan was bigger. Adrian Martinez was big. Like Casey Thompson was bigger.
Yeah. Now this is the right kind of quarter. Like for his size is appropriate for the game that he has.
Sure.
Right. Like he doesn't have Adrian's game.
No.
Adrian was basically running through the tackles,
But
because he ended up being like 230 by his sophomore year.
there's always this element of when you have a guy who can pick things up with his feet, you want to utilize it.
Yeah.
And it just takes a few of those hits for things to go really
No doubt.
sideways.
No doubt about it.
So
I think he is probably quite a lot better though. Like when you compare him to Adrian, just like Adrian was such a big guy that he would kind of absorb the stuff, and Calandria is kind of tough to square up. Probably.
Yeah, he
'Cause he's
doesn't
so
give you the
small.
clean kill shot. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, so it's hype for me as well. You want to do one more of these?
Let's do one more. Do the offensive line
Yeah,
one.
okay.
I have a take.
All right. So plenty of buzz from those at practice about the size and the look of certain players and where this sort of stems from. We will read a tweet from one Michael Severe, who was there last night.
Hi, Michael.
The offensive line is huge. Pritchett looks like he is even better shape, and his leg drive is much better with new coaching. And Puma is ridiculously tall. I think overall you can see the difference in the coaching from Wade and Teasley. Didn't get to see as much of Tree.
One of my favorite bits that Michael does is say Pritchard instead of Pritchett. He's been saying it ever since he's been
And
here.
then I read it as that and didn't even think anything
It's
of
so funny to me.
The basketball player Pritchard.
Yeah, he's talking about Peyton Pritchard.
I assume he's just talking about former Creighton Prep and Nebraska baseball player
Mike
Michael
Pritchard. All right, way to go.
I would assume you
it.
played against him.
I did a lot.
Yeah, because of the crossover there.
Yeah.
Would have been like right in that time.
He was a power hitter at prep,
Yeah.
and then he ended up broke his back, and then ended up being like a slap hitter.
Yeah.
At
I
Nebraska.
don't know if did he break his back?
There was something wrong with his back. Remember the way he walked?
Kind of, yeah. He had a gait.
Yeah.
He had like a very distinct style.
He was.
I didn't know
messed
that
up.
was related to his
He had some
back.
sort of injury. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, shout out to Mike Pritchard if it catches wind to him. Shout
Yeah.
out to him. So here's where I'm at with the offensive line. I don't know where this lands on your hype hope scale. I personally don't care about how big Tree Babalade and Paul Mabanga are. I absolutely do not give a rip about how big they are. I am excited for the offensive line because Justin Evans and Elijah Pritchett are back. I think that unit has an opportunity to be good because I'm almost positive those guys are good. They have returning production. They are cemented. They seem to get better from a body perspective, like whatever it is. I'm not buying the hype of Mabanga and Babalade because I don't feel like I have to in order to believe in the offensive line. Now, I don't think there is hype on Brendan Black, but he's a guy who started a million games.
Because he's the highest rated of those
Exactly.
guys.
He's a guy that started a million games in his career, and he's just going to be the same guy.
It feels like you just
He's-
put it in Sharpie and you don't think about it.
He's just Rocco Spindler of last year
But I
without
think better.
playing at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So I'm good with that. I'm excited about the offensive line. I don't care about how big Tree Babalade and Paul Mabanga are.
Yeah, it's funny because like I'm in basic basically lockstep with you on this entirely. I didn't need the sort of, people to go over and talk about like, oh, he looks big, he looks like this.
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of tell from just watching the film or whatever else of what these guys sort of are going to look like. I'm just excited about Nebraska's offensive line, full stop. Where I have bought in all the hype and it gives me all the hope is Jeep Wade. I've just put all of my eggs in the Jeep Wade.
The Jeepster.
Yeah. So I am doing the Jeep wave with Jeep Wade. And so it is that is where my hope comes from for Nebraska to kind of, if they're going to take a big step forward offensively, it comes from up front. And so, anything last night that was, oh, they look good, they did this, I'm buying it. I was buying it when the defensive line players who didn't play particularly well last year and were ran over, like, yeah, the offensive line looks good.
See,
I'm still buying it.
That's where we might differ. Like, I don't buy it on Mabenga and Babalade. I'm
buying it as a whole. I'm not worried about parsing it out. So that's where we agree. And I totally get if there's some like consternation about specific individuals, fine. As a unit, I am buying that there is going to be a jump.
Agreed. I think that'll be a good offensive line.
So, like I said, I'm in on Jeep.
So what does that make it? Is that a hope?
That's a hope.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because
I need to really drill this down.
See how I thought the opposite.
100%.
Right?
The idea is the hope is the thing that you believe in. The hype is the thing that you are like, all right, that's just being hype.
That's just hype.
Yeah, because hype is generally.
I thought you meant I am hype about it.
Yeah.
And then I hope that's
and
good.
I started with hype first, which then makes you think that's the good one of the two. And so I get it. We got to refine this. I'll admit it's got some work. It came up last night. I was like, I'm doing this. And then I got distracted, and then I went back to it. It was like, I don't think I nailed the landing on this. I haven't told you that this morning.
We got a few more of those on the show today, and maybe even tomorrow on Friday as well. Hyper Hope from the spring. A quick reminder here. If you'd like to see the Omaha Supernovas in action, 1620 The Zone has you covered. They host Indianapolis on Saturday at 7 o'clock at CHI Health Center. And we'll have a chance for you to win tickets to that match right here on this show. So stay tuned for that. When we come back, we will check in with New York John Bishop. That's right. I believe live from his balcony, I was told. So I'm excited about it.
You think he went down to the corner store and got himself something from the bodega?
We'll see. We'll see if he did.
I wonder if he
sausage and egg roll.
I know he's going to be making a trip to the FedEx store today.
I wonder if he made a trip to the Statue of Liberty.
I doubt it. I
saw Blake Harper over there.
Oh, well, maybe he did go on that. I didn't see anything from them yesterday. All right, so we'll see what John's up to as we preview the Jays and Seton Hall in the Big East tournament tomorrow. Coming up next on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert with you here on this Wednesday morning where snow is falling from the sky. Not so much in Midtown Manhattan where John Bishop is taking from the Italians. Looks like he's drinking a shot of espresso. Hi, John.
It's not espresso, it's hotel room coffee, but it's not bad. It's pretty good. And the weather's gorgeous today. I mean, we've got a picture perfect day in New York.
I imagine the New York streets are bustling after the Italians' big win over the Americans last night.
Yeah, I'm glad I got back to our hotel. We were out meeting with some of the other Big East broadcasters last night when the score got a little out of hand, and I'm glad we got back to the hotel just in the nick of time because I could have swore I heard fireworks going off in Little Italy down south. So yeah, I'm a little disappointed in my country today.
I mean, I think that's fair. That is fair. What does one do at one of these big broadcasting dinners? Do you guys congratulate yourselves over your calls? Did you get a lot of attention for going virus earlier this year?
No, I didn't, Schaefer. It was more a commiserating session because the guys who were there last night, most of us came from the disappointing teams. St. John's wasn't represented. UConn wasn't represented. And so we're basically just sharing war stories of, how, oh, no, we had it worse than you. No, you had it worse. So it was, it was a little more of, it was a gathering of broadcasters from, well, dare I say, mediocre teams this season.
I swear we'll talk basketball, but we do have to ask what you're doing today. And
what's on the agenda?
What you did yesterday.
Well, we got here yesterday, and so Connor, you're probably familiar with this, but they've got a walking trail that was constructed out of an old railroad line that basically runs here from Midtown almost all the way down to the business district. So it's like an old rail line, and they converted it into a walking trail and a nature trail. And so we took that and almost walked all the way to the southern tip of Manhattan. And then last night I had the deal. My wife went to a show last night, and today it's working day. As soon as I'm done with you guys, I get back to prepping for the show, and we'll be over at the Garden today for unsportsmanlike conduct.
I knew he was going to say that. I was going to try and get you over to Cats, not the musical.
Yeah, I thought he was talking about the musical, and I was like, I don't think John's a big Broadway guy.
Last year,
I saw Cats. At the Lead Center like 15 years ago, and I was not a fan.
Not a fan of seeing Cats. You know what they say? If you see it in Lincoln, you don't have to see it on Broadway.
Right.
It's basically the same. All right. So it all came together somehow for Creighton on the last day of the regular season with a bunch of help from other teams. They do end up getting the 5 seed, and of course the opponent on the other side is Seton Hall. You played 2 games with them so far. The one game there, Creighton was up by 16 late and probably should have won. They feel like they should have won. The game here feels like they stole one. What does that mean, and how much impact does that have on tomorrow's Big East tournament opener?
I mean, I don't know how much it means in terms of what kind of an impact it has, but all these teams, it's been such a weird year. This was one of the things we talked about with the other broadcasters last night, is trying to make heads or tails of basically every team from Villanova on down in this conference. I mean, you had Georgetown sweeping Providence, who had one of the best rosters, one of the most expensive rosters in the Big East, grossly underachieving. Obviously, we've known about Creighton's story all year long, and it's just interesting to see how these teams match up so differently against each other. You can make the argument that this is exactly what Creighton wanted. Obviously, getting the bye, it was important, but in terms of a matchup, because if you look at some of the game control metrics, the Jays controlled much of that first game here in on the East Coast, and they controlled a decent part of the first half of the second game, and then they kind of let it slip away before they came back and made the dramatic comeback on the Graves jumper. So, I'm expecting another close game. I'm expecting another hard-fought game, but I would have said that with just about any team that they could have played in either the first round or the quarterfinal round, because of just the way that all of these teams from Villanova on down just seem so evenly matched, or or at least equally as, confusing, I guess might be a better way to put it. So, I mean, if we get another, 1 point, 2 point game or another overtime game, would not shock me in the least. It also wouldn't shock me if one of these teams, actually sustains whatever run that they get and wins it by 10 or 15 points. If the Jays can mitigate the turnovers and mitigate the offensive rebounds, which they did in the first 2 games, but then also not go through one of those 4 or 5 minute long scoring droughts, they could be the team on top.
One of the sort of interesting things about this season has kind of been the inability for Creighton to put one game, followed up with another strong game. They haven't won 2 games in a row since December. And I am curious, do you think there's anything they found at the end of the year against Butler that could carry over a week later here as they go into this game against Seton Hall?
I would like to say there is something there. I think part of, the reason why they couldn't string together a couple of wins in a row was just their overall inconsistency. If you look at some of the elements on this team, Schaefer, Josh Dix is playing his best basketball of the season, at least offensively. Certainly at the beginning of the year, defensively, he was nails, and he's still really good defensively. But he's playing his best basketball this season. Graves is getting to the free throw line, and he had the huge, stat line stuffer game with the 13 assists and the 6 steals against Butler. Jason Green's averaging more rebounds than points right now, so he's kind of stabilized things in the middle. There are elements and pieces there that tell you that a run is possible, but then at the same time, you've got to have, Creighton's going to have, they need to see January Austin Swartz at some point this weekend. Because we really haven't seen that. You're going to probably, if you're going to make a 3-game run, one of those 3 games is going to have to include an Isaac Trout, 4, 5, 6 threes like he had against Seton Hall. That's going to have to be in the card somewhere. And then you're going to have to get some kind of, consistent play out of Fedor Zugic. Zugic has shown flashes, and certainly he did against UConn. He did in a couple of the other games he started, but then he had some inexplicable turnovers that kind of set the tone for a bad day. So Creighton's they've got to continue to see what they're getting from Dix and from Green and from Graves. But then, the other pieces, the other guys are going to have their moments and then hope that, they can somehow put it all together and do it for 3 straight days, which, as you pointed out, this team hasn't won 3 straight games until, since December.
John, have you, with all that, if you manufacture the scenario so that they all, and watching the second half against Butler, feeling a little bit positive about that, have you allowed yourself to dream at all? Could be a run over the next couple days, I guess. How far have you allowed yourself to go on that?
Honestly, all you have to do is look to the next game, or not the next game, but it would be the next game, the semifinal game. St. John's is standing in the way. Creighton has shown against every other team in the league that they're competitive, right? While they got swept by Providence and they got swept by DePaul, it wasn't that, those teams were that much better than Creighton. They obviously beat, UConn. They went on the road and they beat Villanova, but then there's the one team that in both games absolutely showed that they were the far superior team, and that was St. John's. So honestly, it would be nice to say that, I've got a lot of confidence that there's going to be a deep run, but it's going to require them to do something that they haven't done this year, haven't really done, since New Year's Eve 2 years ago. And that is somehow find a way to beat St. John's in a building where they've never beaten St. John's, regular season or postseason, Madison Square Garden. And that place is going to be lit like it was last year for the finals.
And most of them have been pretty bad, if my memory serves correctly, including the final last year. Schaefer, you got anything else?
Yeah, so I am curious, like, if they don't make the 3-game run and they don't become dirty bid Steelers, is there an interest from Creighton, you think, to play in the Crown to continue this season with everything that's been going on, with how the season has gone, how long it has felt at times? do you think there would be a sort of a willingness to like, hey, let's try to go end this on a positive note, go out to Vegas and we'll play in this event? Do you think there'd be interest in that?
I mean, I think there would be to a degree, but the big question is, which players, are going to be around next year. How do you manage the lineups now with the way that the Crown is assembled? If the Jays are one of those top 2 teams by the net ranking that don't get in, that's something that the Big East requires you to do. So it wouldn't be even a case where you could just turn
whether you want to or not. Yeah,
right, turn it down. And right now, between Creighton, Butler, and Providence, I think they're all like 81, 82, and 83 in the net. So they're like right there. And Seton Hall, obviously, they're a lock for the Crown, assuming they don't win here this weekend in New York City. So, yeah, I don't know if they'll have much of a choice to say no. That said, I do think, just judging by, how I read the guys and, being with them on the road, and being around them. This team has been surprisingly together very well, given all of the expectations that were put out in front of it and how they weren't met. I don't sense a lot of dissension. So I would think that if it does end up going to Las Vegas, I think you'll see a team that, will put put forth a good effort and, show out as best they can.
All right, New York Pizza Suprema. You know where it is. Just right
down. It's right down the street. I gotta go over to Liberty first. I gotta get a bagel this morning and then pizza tonight.
Smart. All right, John. Enjoy the day and have fun tomorrow. We'll be listening.
All right, we'll see you guys. Thank you.
John Bishop, you can hear the pregame from him at MSG tomorrow at 1:00. I'm gonna kick John out now. Bye, John. And the tip-off will be at 1:30 from Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. Host of the best conference tournament in America.
It's kind of fun to me.
Admit it.
That it's a perfectly fine conference tournament.
It's great.
It's fun to me that these 2 teams meet up because haven't basically all of their games been decided by what?
2 or 1.
Yeah, 3 total points in the 2 games they played. So now you get the rubber match. I think we can already sort of expect it to be a game that'll be close and late at the end, and that's fun. That's good drama.
And then the winner gets St. John's.
And the winner gets St. John's.
And just like John said,
hey, St. John's
is not they're not unbeatable, but for Creighton, it seems like
there's a matchup where it's maybe not the best, and then an environment that is maybe not the best.
That final last year, I saw Matt and a couple people who were there talk about this yesterday on Twitter. It was one of the loudest buildings I have ever been in.
Yeah,
for the Big East final last year between those 2 teams. I mean, it was
probably
absurd.
The best that St. John's had been in quite some time.
They were a
and so the enthusiasm for that particular program has to have been not an all-time high, but certainly a high over the last decade.
Definitely, yeah. Highest it's been in a long time. So we'll see how everything looks, one game at a time for the Blue Jays. We'll take a break. We'll come back with the headlines after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, we got a couple minutes. I'm skipping ahead. I am making a pre-selection today on the headline because I saw this yesterday and had
Wow.
an adverse reaction.
You could just do this?
Yeah.
You could just tell Joey this is the headline?
Yes. Yes, I
Okay.
can.
All right.
I have veto power. That is right.
Yeah,
So,
this is your guys'
Joey,
show.
read me this headline, and then I will have a conniption.
Buffalo Wild Wings unveils wing-flavored protein espresso martini.
Schaefer, do you have any reaction to Buffalo Wild Wings wing-flavored protein espresso martini?
None of it's like a collection of words.
It is.
It doesn't really feel like it leads to anything. And then when you actually let it lead to something, it doesn't seem like something I'd partake in.
I am going to put this in the category. Now, I don't mind. I like espresso martinis.
Sure.
I'm cool with espresso martinis. I
Yeah.
was ripping espresso martinis at a wedding relatively recently. It was a great time. Then,
Are you cool with protein?
in general, yes, I think it's an important thing to survive. And
Are you cool with protein-based drinks?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess
Like
so.
you're ripping protein shakes.
I'm
before
not.
you're
I'm
going to the
not.
gym?
But I'm not offended by them.
Okay, all
I'm
right.
not offended by them. I am offended by the constant and never-ending pushing upon America that Buffalo wings have done. Chicken wings have done. Buffalo sauce and chicken. I love buffalo wings. I love buffalo chicken. I don't need it to be literally everywhere. You know that I have this too.
This is a constant for you.
Yes.
Which it's funny because I have this, but it's with other things. It's with pickles. It's pickle flavored this. It's pickle that. It's like the pickle explosion has turned into the pumpkin spice to me, where it's just like this flavor that's now everywhere.
We don't need to have pickle. It's too. This is the word I was looking for. It's too pervasive. It's too pervasive. So Jimmy writes in on YouTube, and I think he's actually right about this. Viral slop. That is what this is. Everybody is trying to come up with the dumbest thing possible to get retweets.
Sure.
Did you see the hot dog covered in donuts?
Yeah.
Yesterday.
For the
I did.
Hartford Yard Goats.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
Yeah.
And if you're buying it, you are an idiot. Probably.
You're wasting your money.
Yes.
Are the Royals the ones introducing some new s'more sandwich thing that I thought I saw the other
The
day?
Royals were definitely doing something food related that I'm not sure I agreed with, but it's you know, it's in one ear and out the other at this point.
I think that's what it was. It was like a s'mores sandwich.
So let me read you a portion of this article and get you even more triggered. Have you been familiar with the people using the term like blank maxing lately?
Can't say that I have.
So like if you get Chick-fil-A 4 days a week, the kids might say that you're Chick-fil-A maxing.
Okay.
Okay.
So a high volume of something.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
All
it.
right,
That's it.
The kids with their words.
So this article says this from USA Today. If protein maxing hadn't gone far enough, Buffalo Wild Wings is introducing a newfound protein-forward menu item that may turn heads. Just in time for National Espresso Martini Day on Monday, or March 15th, whenever that is.
Not a real day.
Buffalo Wild Wings is releasing a wing-flavored espresso protini. The cocktail is infused with buffalo dry rub and jam-packed with 10 grams of protein, according to a Buffalo Wild Wings news release. They did it. I mean, congratulations to Buffalo Wild Wings. They got the clicks. You did it. Well done by you.
I don't know that it's going to like lead to people going out and buying it.
No, not at all.
It makes me wonder.
They'll
if
probably
the,
only make
like,
about 4 of them nationwide,
the
but they'll get
research-
the clicks.
If the research and development and the money spent on like just promotions and everything about this will even be recouped in the total sales of it.
And guess what? It's only available for 3 days.
Yeah.
At Buffalo Wild Wings.
This is not
Friday through Sunday. This is just viral marketing.
Viral slop.
They're viral maxing.
Yeah, viral maxing.
Yeah.
Good for them.
They're marketing
It
maxing.
wasn't a s'more sandwich. It's a s'mores quesadilla featuring Nutella, marshmallow fluff,
Oh my goodness.
graham cracker crumbs, and strawberry
That
pico.
sounds horrific.
Not for me.
It doesn't look good.
Sorry. I apologize on behalf of my dearly beloved Kansas City Royals.
Look, everybody's got to try to do things. I get it.
Those are the headlines, which just are the excuse for
The
me today
headline.
to be on a soapbox, which I am always excited to be on a soapbox. Let's take a break. We'll be back 8 o'clock hour after this on 1620 The Zone. I have been seeing this over the last couple days, but Joey just reminded me that 6 years ago today, it was officially declared a worldwide pandemic by, I don't know, whoever makes those declaration. That'd be COVID-19. So I immediately look back in my picture, in my photos from March 11th, 2020. I have one picture from that day. It is a screenshot of a press release. If you're watching along with us on YouTube, here it is. Update on Nebraska men's basketball coach Fred Hoiberg. He has influenza. He was diagnosed with influenza A, the common cold. He has since been released and returned to the team hotel. Even though everybody around him was trying to jam hand sanitizer into their mouths.
Yeah, that was such an obvious nothing is going to be normal after this moment as that game was playing out. And I think I had multiple tweets to that effect. And there's, people that didn't think what was going to happen eventually did happen. Just they would have to cancel everything. It's so wild looking back on that time.
It was so weird.
I mean, I was set to go to Arizona like 2 days later for my usual spring training trip. And I was thinking like on Tuesday or Wednesday of that week, like, I don't know if this is because the last thing I wanted was to just be stranded in an airport somewhere where everything gets shut down and then you have to figure out how you're going to get back.
Pack it in, baby.
So
it was a weird day for me because I was in class. I was in class and this was like a speech class and we had to go to like these Toastmasters to give speeches just to improve our presentation anxiety. So I was supposed to speak in front of a big group of people, but instead it was like 2 people because several were getting sick. And right after we got done with the speeches, I went to my car and then I got the news that the Creighton game got canceled after halftime, and then
and
then the pandemic happened.
It sure did. And then we didn't have any sports. The weekend before was the weekend of the Class A state tournament, right? The classic Bellevue West Miller North game. Yeah. So after that, that was my last sporting event that I went to, and however many months after that, there was probably a baseball game at some point.
Yeah, I was at Creighton.
The college baseball season got canceled.
It was that week, wasn't it? Because it wasn't one of the last sort of major sporting events that was even happening, the Class A state. And they were showing it on ESPN, because there wasn't sports going on.
Right. So it would have been the next weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So you were,
after that, I was done.
And because of that, we got the Last Dance throughout the summer.
That was awesome, man. That was a incredibly, obviously I didn't just remember what day it was on, but I do remember that event very, very vividly.
They broadcasted the episodes during the time of the NBA of the supposed NBA finals in June. I think.
Oh, Last Dance. Yeah. No, I'm talking about the so it looks like there was a few games that day. It was the class whatever class state championship.
Yep.
They had the seats in PBA taped off.
Yep.
And stuff
Remember
like
that
this.
being a whole thing.
Yeah.
Everything was weird about that time, but you would have been calling one of the last sporting events that was going on in the United States.
Yeah, it was like they did the Sports Center top 10 that night, and I think 4 of them were from that game.
Yeah, because there wasn't other things to have highlights of.
Jason Green.
And then, out of that was marble racing and video game simulations and
bad times.
What did you do last night and all of these sorts of things?
We made it. We all made it through together. Blue Jay R6 writes in, I was watching the Creighton game in class in high school. Yep. It was they had the epic shot of when they went back to the studio at halftime. They were like, yeah, we're canceling the game. They went inside the arena and it was the St. John's mascot by himself with nobody around him, and they did the slow zoom out of him. It was hilarious. A game that never happened in a season for Creighton that was just it lived in a vacuum in its own thing. They won the Big East championship. The Big East, the last game of the season, the Seton Hall game, Definitely not a super spreader, by the way. And they ended up winning the Big East. Billy the Blue Jays on top of the basketball hoop. He's all pumped up. Number 1 seed. You're going to be probably a 2 or a 3 in the NCAA tournament. Marcus Zagorowski definitely didn't get hurt and put all that stuff in jeopardy. That we don't have to live in that world anyway, which is fantastic. Okay, so back to today, or I suppose yesterday. I'm going to attempt here, Schaefer, because I know what happens when we start talking about courts. I know that people don't want to listen to us.
Yeah.
And we want people to listen to us.
Generally.
And so I want to try and sex up this topic somehow.
Oh.
I'm not sure. Maybe it's called court maxing or NIL maxing or something like that. But
are you going to talk about famous women that went to court?
No.
This is women throughout history.
Right. I get the reference. I don't have it here. We're talking about this Nebraska football story that dropped in Yahoo yesterday. The College Sports Commission. Now, once again, we're going to have to read some parts of this because we have to get you the information. I'm sorry. We have to get you the information. The story from Ross Dellinger yesterday. The College Sports Commission has its first serious challenger. Football players from the University of Nebraska are challenging more than $1 million of third-party NIL deals rejected by the arm of enforcement, the CSC, becoming the first group of athletes to significantly advance in the industry's new arbitration process. Multiple sources with knowledge of the situation spoke to Yahoo Sports under condition of anonymity. The entity, the CSC, developed by the power conferences to police aspects of the House settlement revenue sharing concept, does not comment on arbitration matters. Nebraska officials also declined comment. So there's a lot here. Basically, what's happening is Nebraska had a batch of NIL deals that were turned down because they were getting the money through Nebraska's basically marketing arm, right? The Payfly thing.
The Playfly, yeah, that's the assumption.
That is, I guess, the assumption in this situation. So there is like quite a lot at stake here. It seems like kind of a lose-lose for the College Sports Commission, because Nebraska has a law. The state of Nebraska has a law in which would basically prevent them from enforcing this anyway, which is sort of a fascinating edge to this. I feel like I'm losing people already. How do we get people back? These stories, like where I have officially landed on these stories, Schaefer, is okay, cool. Just let me know how it gets resolved.
Right.
Like there's people that are suing people. Now, nobody's suing people in this case. This is an arbitration case. But anytime I hear anything about the transfer portal and somebody trying to get a waiver or somebody trying to get more eligibility or somebody being, somebody suing for earnings potential as far as NIL is concerned, like whatever it is, it just goes in one ear and one out the other. And I say, tell me when you figure it out. Let me know when you figure it out. I don't know how to possibly explain this story where it doesn't sound like that. That doesn't make it less important. I just feel like it gets caught up in the wash of all the other garbage that's going on.
Yeah, this is a very different situation than, a Joey Aguilar looking to play a 7th year or, any of the other courts. It's not Charles Bediaco. There's a chance this could set precedent for how NIL contracts are essentially legislated and allowed by these commissions that are designed to sort of catch any inconsistencies or impropriety that's going on with sort of how NIL players are paid by universities. So it's a big deal, but it's also kind of like a, as you said, there's no way to make it juicier than sort of describing it as there's 18 individual athletes who are seeking to be, compensated on things that they agreed upon with these NIL deals. And the assumption here in this story is that this money is coming from Playfly, Nebraska's basically broadcast rights holder. Is that a fair way to?
Yeah, they use it as sort of
multimedia rights holder.
Yeah.
And so, these companies, whether it's Playfly, Learfield is another one, IMG, are they still Learfield?
I feel like IMG and Learfield maybe combined.
Yeah, I think they did. So, they are involved here in terms of coming up with ways that you can, and there's not a better way to use this word, funnel money for your NIL operation to help pay for the players that you want involved with the teams that you are going to then broadcast. So there's a big value to them in terms of, wanting these players to be compensated, wanting these teams to have the best players they can for broadcast reasons as well. Well, currently it's not set up for the CSC to be able to review all of these different deals that are being sent to them.
Which, by the way, would be any deal over $600.
Right. So,
which is almost all of them.
I would expect. What do we think that pie chart breakdown?
99%.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it 99 and a half?
I remember when they came out with this, they were like, every deal over $600 must be put under scrutiny by the CSC thing to make sure it's all on the up and up and their returnables and all these other things. And I'm like, okay, what NIL deal is under $600?
Right. And so
none of them.
Here's the other thing. Like, the CSC has largely been able to operate without having to give any transparency to the athletes or the schools as to how their process works.
They just stamp it, yes or no.
And what is necessary or required or any of these things.
From what I've heard, Schaefer, most of them have no issue going through. The scrutiny upon which these deals are go underneath the microscope on is not very. You know that meme of the security guard at the gate. He's got the wand, and he just ever so slightly, wands.
I know the meme.
It's like it's that's what I'm imagining here. It's not very hard.
Usually things aren't getting pulled out and then parsed through. This is just one. It's twofold. There's a ton of volume, and they only have 15 people on this commission, so you got a lot of volume. And then two, as is what has happened, anytime there has been an attempt to legislate or do something, there's also the attempt to how do we make this work inside the parameters that we're given. And that is where the multimedia rights have come through with offering these outside NIL deals that aren't, specific to the university.
Right.
So the clearinghouse has to be able to work through this. And basically the story kind of goes on.
Remember, just like to sort of put it in, in context here. Every school is allowed to pay their student athletes up to the rolling cap, whatever it was this year, it was $21.5 million. Right. We're talking about NIL deals that are outside of that. At the same time, every school has, for the most part, Nebraska just recently did it. They absorbed their NIL operation in-house. They absorbed their NIL operation inside the walls of their own building so that they can funnel the money wherever they need to funnel the money to. And that technically counts as like NIL, those are, you could use that for NIL operations and all the other money that you need. So I hear athletic directors talk about this stuff all the time, and they talk about it with the sort of tone of, we need money and we're trying to find alternate revenue streams and all those different things. This is why they say it that way. This is why they talk about it that way. It's not because they don't have money. Mm-hmm. It's because there's very specific rules or quote unquote rules on where you can put the money toward and how much you can do it and where. And that is all still a work in progress. And that's why we have all these stupid idiotic court cases and all the stuff like that.
And you just have people that were unprepared for what was going to happen. Correct. Like the CEO of CSC, I believe his name is Brian Seeley. He basically in the article acknowledges that the CSC and NIL Go system were overwhelmed and were not built for the high number of manufactured deals, which warrant more scrutiny in the review process. When accepting the job, Seeley was told there's a belief within the industry that as many as 90% of NIL deals would be organic. But that is turning out not to be the case. Organic being
like they're actually real,
or that it isn't from a broadcast rights holder, or that it's like a car dealership has made an agreement as an outside party and they bring it to the to this thing, and that is not what happened. And so it's like they weren't aware of how this was going to go, and you think you would have learned that from the collectives which wasn't what NIL was designed for. But then someone comes up with this idea of like, hey, we just pool a bunch of money together and pay that way. It works all the same.
Mhm.
Well, this was to circumvent collectives. And effectively, now you just have manufactured NIL deals.
Manufacture maxing.
What it is.
NIL maxing.
Also what it is. So, and this is where Nebraska comes in. And this case is really big because depending on how it is decided, it could totally open up what everything looks like in terms of how these deals are accepted, the process that the NCAA and their third-party people are going through. Or, it could go the other way where Nebraska is going to have to figure out how do you get these athletes the money that you've agreed upon getting them if you can't use Playfly in these manufactured deals. And that becomes a real problem.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you were kind of talking about there is athletic directors are having to essentially find ways to pay money to keep these players because they can't do it through their $21.5 million because that's already spent.
Already accounted for.
And there are so many hoops to jump through to get it to work in the system of which is designed by the NCAA that, you have to come up with like speaking events and camps and all of these different things that then also work towards whatever the business that's involved with that checks the box that then you can pass it on through. Like it is a lot of extra sort of work to make it happen so that someone can get mailbox money effectively.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just a lot that goes into all of this.
So I don't know what to do here. I don't know what the next step is. Like I want to say the right way to is just like the CSC thing when it came across however long ago it was now, I'm like, oh great, this is never going to work. They're never going to do anything about this. They're not going to put it under any scrutiny, and they're not going to have any sort of
and what are their literal teeth on any of it?
Yeah, exactly. They're not going to have any sort of authority because anytime they get challenged on anything, it'll just go to court, and it's the same story as it is with everything else in college athletics. So I want to almost say like, all right, I give in, like just free open game, funnel as much money to wherever you want at any given time, and that's the world that we live in now. Although I don't think that's the best option to for all of this stuff to land.
No,
there needs to be a governing body, and states need to be playing under the same rules and all these different things. But we're just so far away from any of that. It's just I don't know. I don't see an end of I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel for court cases and just stuff like this where the money comes from, where it goes, where it can go. Where does it come from, Cotton Eye Joe? I don't know if there's light at the end of the tunnel on any of this stuff. You're just going to see stories like this for the rest of time.
And this is where, if you're a coach, it's endlessly frustrating because all you really want is some sort of established parameters that you can operate.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing it by, this way, and the program that you're competing with is doing it in an entirely different way, and neither one of you is right or wrong.
You want parameter maxing.
I mean, I think coaches love parameters.
They would love to get parameter mogged.
Now, what they really love is to have parameters and then try to figure out a way that they get to exist outside of those parameters.
Right.
And then blame the system for being wrong when it comes back that the parameters were actually doing what they were supposed to.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is how we got here in the first place.
That is definitely true. So TBD on the Nebraska related item here, but we will see what ends up happening. I would also imagine that there are a lot. We talked about the $600 thing, like that being the threshold. I would imagine for like some of the lower sport athletes, or like maybe not the highest paid ones in the athletic department, that there's a lot of $599 deals. I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Here you
just
go.
keep you right under
$599.
Yeah.
Oh, what? $599 like 4 times a week? Like, sure. Yeah.
We're going to do it quarterly.
You're not tipping off any of the scales of the alarms as far as that's concerned.
Nope. You're flying right by.
It's much different than $600. That's for sure. Sam McKewon is going to join us here.
I guarantee he has thoughts on this.
He definitely does. He definitely does. There's no doubt about that. We want to wait a couple minutes before we get to him. So we told him 8:30. Just so a couple minutes here. we should touch on this story out of the WAC yesterday.
Yeah.
All right, so
Speaking of money,
this came out of nowhere. I didn't know any of this stuff was going on.
yeah, I sent you both tweets.
All of a sudden, the WAC came out with a statement. They were like, we will release the brackets. And I'm like, whoa, hang on. What's going on? So Utah Valley in the WAC, the Western Athletic Conference, have now cleared up their $1 million dispute that threatened to leave Utah Valley out of the men's and women's basketball tournaments. The men's team at Utah Valley is and would have been the 1 seed in this WAC tournament this week, saying that in Utah Valley's transitional move to the Big West Conference, they owed the WAC $1 million in exit fees, that money of which they had not paid yet as of yesterday, which led the WAC to say, if you don't pay this by now, like 3 hours from now, we will release brackets that don't have you eligible for our WAC tournament.
Which then means Utah Valley, the top team in the WAC, has no ability to get to the NCAA.
Their season is over, effectively. And which is like, whoa, where did this come from? Then apparently it all got cleaned up. Although I did see some dispute on this last night. I know there was a follow-up tweet from Pete Thamel. There was some local reporting on this that I was sort of getting into as well without getting like too deep into the weeds. Pete Thamel said last night, he said, the WAC has been informed that Utah Valley has provided the $1 million in escrow, which per judge's orders was necessary for them to play in the WAC men's and women's conference tournaments. I saw some local reporting that suggested that it was not there and that we're still waiting on that, but the $1 million that Thamel was referring to was just like a guarantee and an acknowledgement that they would. So I guess we'll see where that officially lands, but the WAC is backed off and they're like, all right, we're chill. Like we
got our money.
We're good. So a little ransom maxing.
They sent over some leg breakers and that didn't get it done. And so then they finally had to go to the public pressure.
I think they should have put out the bracket anyway.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see
they have like the 2 brackets.
Like,
this is a bracket if you pay the money.
Mm-hmm.
This is the bracket if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you want to be a part of?
Kill the girl. I'll kill the girl. I promise you. You don't want to see what happens if you don't pay the money.
Yeah, I assume it's just Walter Sobchak and Donnie over there. See what happens, Larry?
This is what happens. All right, let's take a break. He was over the line. We'll have Sam McKewon coming up next on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert with you here on Happer Schaefer, 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Omaha Food Fight is just about to start rolling, but we need more of your nominations before tomorrow night. Omaha Food Fight presented by Union Bank and Trust, and the bracket will open on Sunday. Head to 1620thezone.com, nominate your favorite right now. We're joined by our dear friend Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone Hotline. Sam, good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good. Enjoying this this weather, I suppose. Were you surprised by the snow this morning?
No, it's the state tournament. So anytime you have the state tournament,
Didn't
you
put that
have
one
to fully
together.
expect random, shocking weather to occur. You know, and it just sort of crops up for 5 minutes, and it's like, wait a minute, there's a little bit of snow on the ground. It must be the beginning of the state tournament. And so it is.
You nailed it. Tale as old as time. And then, last night was actually, a pretty decent night. Good to catch some football practice. I read your observations. Good stuff as always. What'd you see? What'd you hear? What'd you think last night?
Well, they got some guys that look the part. I mean, I think their offensive linemen definitely do. I think their additions there are impressive physically. Of course, they got to move around, but that's a good group of coaches too. Chief Wade and Lonnie Teasley can coach. Not that Donovan Riley couldn't, but they kept Aaron Cooling, which I thought was a good move, and so that's a pretty powerful trio of coaches. Impressed there. The quarterbacks were doing a scramble drill that I have not seen out of the rule era, where they're trying to kind of get the guys, the receivers and the backs, to adjust to whatever decision the quarterback makes. And they were having all the quarterbacks go through it. And I think those are good drills to get used to. This is a team that needs to do better when things break down. And so they were able to do that. Running back drills, as always, are really innovative and interesting. And I think that's part of why those guys get better, is because E.J. Barthel, who includes a whole bunch of people too. So he's got Ron Brown over there, and he's got Corey Campbell, and he's got, 2 or 3 other guys, and they're putting them through some rigorous, like 30, 40-yard drills that have about 4 different components to them. And they do a nice job of creating scenarios where those guys have to read what they're doing. And I think most of you guys have seen his drills. So, they're good. They're really good. They're a really good teach tape. It takes about 40 yards to teach them, but it's good. And they have the room. They have Barthel takes those guys over to the field that's closest to the practice facility, or whatever you want to call it, football building. He always works over there and does a good job. Quasi Gilmore looks impressive. He looks like it looks a little different than every other guy on that roster, except for Nayland Scott, who is a freshman and needs to catch the ball. But man, that guy looks the part too. Now, he's been hurt a lot in his high school career, so he needs to stay healthy, and I don't know that he's going to play this year. Nayland Scott looks the part. So does Quasi Gilmore. So those two guys I thought looked physically impressive. And you kind of know what the other receivers bring to the table, but those two are notable as newcomers.
Yeah, I was going to ask, and you kind of hit on it. And if there's anybody else, feel free to expand. I feel like when there's the first availability in the spring, a lot of it is sort of getting eyes on players that came in as portal players or as freshmen. You mentioned Gilmer, you mentioned Scott, you mentioned some of the offensive linemen. Any of the other newcomers stand out for you, just in terms of getting eyes on them, seeing what they look like physically, and if you got to see them run around at all?
Yeah, Campbell and Foster, the 2 linebackers. Now that was not any surprise to me. We had already seen Chambliss, and I kind of watched a lot of, you go to YouTube and you watch a lot of Oregon State football. So I with all the transfers, I try to go to YouTube and just watch what I can. Maybe not every Pittsburgh game, but 5 of them. Just all the defensive snaps to watch Jasir Whittington. And I understand why they like him. He is a very trim guy. He's obviously shorter, but very trim and impressive. Owen Stoudemire is more of a fire hydrant. He's going to be a stopgap guy. He's going to hold guys up, but I wouldn't describe him as necessarily a guy that's going to blast up field the way that Whittington can. Anthony Jones, obviously, looks really good. But, they have pretty good defensive line bodies. I mean, shoot, Gabe Moore looks the part. He did last year when he would, line up. It's what Gabe Moore does after the snap, and they've got to find a way to get him going, because he certainly has the frame and all the pieces. Sualefatu looks pretty good. Riley Van Poppel obviously looks like a dude. Got to get more out of him too. So there's just guys they got to get more out of that I think we all kind of thought they were going to get more out of last year, and it didn't happen. So yeah, those. I think the defensive backs look about what I expected them to look like. I still think athletically, Jason Shiggs of the three looks the best, but I don't know. He's at a pretty stacked position, and I wonder if they wouldn't redshirt him. He has a redshirt year available, and they might be able to do that, and so that he can or play 4 games this year and then redshirt, maybe get him clear of some of the older guys like Dwayne McDougal in that group. So we'll see. But I think they're a decent looking team. Granted, I don't get to see Oregon and Indiana and all these other teams, and one of them opened practice yesterday. I can't remember which one it was. It might have been Ohio State, I think, open practice, and then Oregon maybe tomorrow, Indiana next week. Those are the games on the schedule. There's 5 if you want to get right down to it. The 5 that you really marinate on when you think about, okay, this is the challenge, is Indiana, Oregon, Washington, Ohio State, and Iowa, and Illinois. You want to throw Illinois in there. Illinois is rebuilding everything, and so that's fine with me. They should be very young, and they're sort of reloading. So I think they're going to have a year when they lost a lot of their defensive coaches. So I think they're probably going to be a 6-6 ball club. But you can't assume that Nebraska is going to beat Illinois ever anymore. You just can't assume it based on Nebraska's recent lack of success against Illinois. So if you want to throw Illinois in there, that's 6. And those are the games. Those are the games that you have to go and win. You got to win the other 6 too. But their rosters are better than the other 6. How do you match up against the rosters that are as good as yours and better than yours? And I think that's where Nebraska needs to take the jump next season.
Which is the better source of offensive line optimism? Is it in the new guys, Mabenga and Babalade, and their sort of ceiling and potential as people saw the bodies yesterday? Or is it the return of Pritchett and Evans? And then I guess I don't know what to do. Black is sort of in the middle of both of those categories because it's, he's just been around for a long time and started, even though it was at Iowa State. So I don't, I sort of think about him as more of a sure thing. But what sort of makes you excited about the offensive line when you look at it?
Elijah Pritchett looks really good. He looked really good today. It feels like he maybe reshaped his body and maybe reset maybe 10 pounds and put those in slightly different places. So when you look at him, he looks the part. Who really looks the part? I don't think he's gonna play right away. But Claude Puma looks the part. That's how it's supposed to look at offensive tackle. He's number 71. He's a true freshman. Again, I don't think that's going to be right away because I don't think his level of seasoning is probably where it needs to be.
Very green to football still.
Yeah, but you know why they recruited him.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's really impressive, and I'm not kidding. I'm like, yep, that looks pretty good. He's listed at 260 pounds. I mean, he didn't look 260. He looked closer to 285, especially next to Pritchett because he was kind of behind Pritchett in terms of the drill work they were doing. And Pritchett is listed at 325, and Pritchett looks fat, but it's a really good 325. It's real trim. And then I'm a believer that the center position is more important in college than maybe it would, in theory, is made to be in the NFL. I think it's actually important in the NFL too, but in college, the center is often the communication hub, and the left and the right tackle are not $100 million players who are one out of whatever you want to call it, 60 players on earth that can block like that. And so your left and right tackles in the collegiate level are they can be iffy at times, as people might see at Nebraska. So the center has to do a lot of work, and he has to be the anchor and the communication hub and needs to run the whole operation. And Justin Evans in that spot is crucial. I'm a big believer in 4th and 5th year centers who know what they're doing, and I think Nebraska's got a really good one. So I would go with the Pritchett Evans combo as more optimistic. But I also think the other 3 new guys are, they're good players too.
There's not like a ton of time to go fully into this, but I am curious your thoughts on the story that came out from Yahoo yesterday with Nebraska's 18 players involved in this court case as it relates to the College Sports Commission. I mean, what do you sort of make of this, and where do you maybe see things going with it?
So I don't know how much you guys have talked about it, but I'll try to explain it really briefly. The Nebraska Board of Regents in December approved a change to the Playfly Sports contract. Playfly Sports is Nebraska's multimedia rights holder. And so they're the ones who put on whatever you want to call it, Sports Nightly, any of those things. They shifted some of the money toward NIL, like, I don't know, $7 or $8 million. It needs to be spent by like June 30th. And part of the reason for doing that is that money then becomes over the cap revenue sharing, which is basically NIL. And the deals that Playfly Sports signed Nebraska up to are what they call future deals. In other words, we are going to secure your rights, your name, image, and likeness. And when we want to use them in future, kind of like a retainer, when we want to use your name, image, and likeness in future promotions, we already have your approval to do so. According to the CSC, the College Sports Commission, their NIL Go operation, which approves NIL deals over $600, these are illegitimate deals because they are not for services rendered in the moment, but services that might be rendered in the future, hence a retainer. The Nebraska football players who have such a deal and have seen them get rejected want to go to arbitration and get in front of an arbitrator, which is probably a judge, not really effectively court, but a judge, and challenge the CSC's ruling. Now, an arbitrator will listen, and they could make all kinds of decisions. They could reverse the decision and say, nope, this is fine. They could uphold the decision, after which the Nebraska football players might decide to sue straight up and go to a jury or another judge, or they might find some sort of middle ground. I think this is a big deal because other schools, I think, intend to use their multimedia rights operation to create deals that that provide over the cap NIL money. Now, the other thing the arbitrator might do is say, here's how you can tweak this deal, and then it would be okay by me. And that may be where it ends up. I don't know if Nebraska leaked this. My sense is not. My sense is it was probably the flip side, the CSC. But we'll talk to Rule today, and we saw a comment from Nebraska. But really, what it is it's a disagreement about a ruling with the CSC, and obviously the Nebraska football players have pooled their themselves together, and they're gonna make a what amounts to sort of a class action disagreement.
Right.
That'll go in front of an arbitrator. I mean, obviously Nebraska wants to use its MMR deal to create over the cap NIL money. It's a competitive advantage. Other schools are going to do it, and I'm guessing schools are rooting for Nebraska to win. And it won't surprise me if they do win. I think it was presented in a way, and then this adjunct argument about Nebraska's NIL law got kind of shunted in there, and that was not. I don't really know. It got moved in there, but understand that like the concept of penalization against the student athlete would not be. I don't think the CSC denying the agreement. I don't think Nebraska is just submitting literally anything to the CSC and saying state law. I don't think they're doing that. And so that kind of got stuck in there because that stuff happens on legal Twitter. It just does. And, I used to be in high school debate, and, what I would always say is like, every single round ended up in somebody saying, if you vote for the affirmative team, we're going to have a nuclear war. Those things always happen. And so like, I understand the state law component to it, and I'm not diminishing it at all. I'm just saying that like that portion of it may never come into play because the arbitrator might say, yeah, you know what, these deals are fine, and then nobody's trotting out the state law and saying this state law could destabilize everything. Like that happens a lot in the legal world. And so there'll be some people that are thinking about that and start using the state law that way. And I don't know that it's going to come into play, but they may bring it up today too. And I think what people want is, I think what everybody wants is either congressional action that gets an anti-trust bill passed and gets this thing resolved, or union negotiation where we get to the point where we have a collective bargaining agreement that supersedes state law. Right? It's an interstate compact and a collective bargaining agreement that supersedes the state law, and the state law goes away, and all these other agreements go away, and people are content with the union.
Be helpful, make it a lot easier, wouldn't it?
Well, media likes unions. Yep, they think that's the answer to everything. And I'm just telling you, and I'm not knocking unions. I grew up in a union family, so like I understand unions, and I have no problem with unions. I'm just saying that like the way that unions work, the presumption that like the union's going to form and the athletes will get literally everything they want, and the schools will get nothing, and utopia will reign. That's not how that's going to work. Mm-hmm. If they get a union, the freedom of movement's going to go way down. Mm-hmm. The freedom of movement in the NFL isn't even what the freedom of movement in college athletics is.
Right.
So like, you don't get to do whatever you want in the NFL
because they have actual contracts. Yeah.
Yeah. Patrick Mahomes doesn't get to go to this place here and this place over here next year, and that doesn't happen. So like, if it goes to a union, the freedom of movement's going down. And schools will it'll probably go something back closer to the schools saying, yeah, you can't go to that school in the Big Ten. You don't get to go to Nebraska, Price, Stanford. You're at Iowa. Like, people don't understand that that's what'll happen. And sometimes the media thinks that's the panacea. And maybe it is, but it will actually probably restrict the athlete's rights a little bit more. I think a congressional law would probably restore some authority to the NCAA, and the media don't like that because the NCAA is an institution, and all institutions are not good. And so like, you start getting into like postmodernism and all this other stuff. And so my bottom line is it's probably going to end up in a congressional law, or it's going to be a union, and there's going to be pros and cons to each one for the schools and the athletes. Where it ends up, I'm not really sure, but I think we're in the moment where it's like peak freedom of movement and peak earning opportunity for the athlete. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to be this peak forever. Somewhere along the way, there's going to be a what do you call it? A compromise that gives a little bit back to the schools and takes a little bit from the athletes, whether it's a union or it's a congressional law.
By me, Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald. Sam, great stuff as always.
Very good.
Appreciate you. See you later.
Take care. Bye.
Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald. It's not a thing that is easily explainable in 60 seconds.
But he did a really good job.
Yeah.
Breaking through the Nebraska end.
He could see the big picture, that's for sure. All right, we'll be back around at the hour after this on 1620 The Zone. Every once in a while, we like to see what our intrepid producer Joey Colbert is up to. I mean, every once in a while, we were tipped off to a take he has on the internet, a picture of a pepper or a sausage that he has posted, something like that. And last night, we were tipped off to this.
To a few things, but notably this.
At Joey Warcola, 8 foods that aren't for me. Are you ready to hear the list?
I cannot wait.
Go ahead.
Should I go 8 to 1 or 1 to 8?
8 to 1.
8 to 1. I agree. So are these in order of how much they don't agree with you, or are they just 8
They're
random?
just 8
Okay,
random.
8 random. All right, so I can go in any order. Spaghetti.
Do we get explanation, or do I hear
What's
all of
up
them
with
first?
spaghetti?
Just not a fan of the food in general.
The texture gets you a little bit.
Yeah, it gets to me a little, and it's just not fun eating it.
Steakums.
They're terrible.
I don't even know what steakums are.
They're like the quick steaks, like the
Yeah,
the
they
little-
are. You heat
Like
them up.
steak nuggets?
No, they're like sandwiches. They're like They're like flat. They're like flat pieces of meat, and you just put them on a sandwich and eat them that way.
Okay,
They were
that
just not
sounds
good.
horrible. So I agree with you on that. Sloppy Joes.
Too messy. Too greasy.
It sounds like a lot of it is just a mess thing for
Yeah,
Joey.
Yeah.
You're just out on foods that are allowed to go everywhere. You like
Anything with
yeah,
loose hamburger meat.
Yeah.
Seems
Yeah.
like it's a problem.
He likes
it's not
confined.
appetizing.
You need your food to be confined.
Yes.
Interesting.
Sloppy Joe's being on this list is I don't know that I will be more offended by anything else. But I love Sloppy Joe's.
I don't have a super huge opinion on Sloppy Joes.
Yeah,
I
I'm a
can
huge
take them
fan.
or leave them.
I take them.
Now, here's a food that has very specific confines. Meatloaf.
Okay.
It's all inside the loaf. But Joey, it still made your list. What's going on
Too much
here?
ketchup. Too much ketchup filled meat.
I agree with that, actually.
I like meatloaf.
I don't mind meatloaf, but I am out on ketchup.
I mean, I'll eat it, but I'm just not a huge fan of it.
Chicken parm. This is the worst take of all time, possibly.
Okay.
Chicken parm is the number one food.
The number one food ever?
Yeah,
Now that's a take.
chicken parm.
I had it.
What's up with you and chicken parm?
I had it a while back, and it just grew too old with me.
Did you puke after having a chicken parm?
No,
once?
I did not. I did not.
All right. Ice cream.
I said this already. It's just too cold. It's too cold for my liking.
Amazing.
I
So
have
much of this
tea.
is just texture based things.
And finally, pizza.
It's overrated.
What?
Joey, what do you eat?
What do you eat except for sausage and peppers? Kielbasa and pepper. What do you eat?
I'll have gyros.
He'll have gyros. That's good.
He
I had Chinese
Uncrustables.
takeout yesterday. I have Uncrustables.
What's tempeh?
Tempeh. It's
What is that?
I
I
don't know, Tempe.
you have to do some research. There's not going to be enough time to do some
To
research.
explain it. Yeah, that doesn't look like it's for me.
But
either.
I'm just out on pizza. There's way too many combinations. It needs to be simplified, and it's again a texture thing
Does
with
pizza
me.
need to be simplified? That's a poll question.
It doesn't.
I don't think pizza needs to be. It's pretty simple, I think, for the most part. Now, if
I'm
your
just out-
if your
I'm just
take
out of-
dovetails with Happers, there's too many types of pizza that don't need to be pizza, and it stops being pizza.
Join me.
I think that's
I'm a
I think
part.
that's
I'm a
fair.
part of that. I'm a part of
All
that
right,
group.
There's Joey's list.
But
We're
you're just
we're-
out on pizza in general.
back after this on 1620 The Zone. They always say leave them wanting more. And I think that's what Joey's list did. Unfortunately, we had to make that about a 4-minute segment because of time constraints. And yeah,
It's fine.
people were not happy. They have more questions for you, Joey. Now, do we give them the ability to ask more questions, or do we just leave that topic in a vacuum forever?
I feel like they need to be able to get their voices heard on.
Because we got the chance to ask Joey more questions during the break, so we probably owe the listeners more.
The tweet is up there, so if you want to look.
I also don't hate the idea of people just texting their one-word food item and you asking Joey if he would eat it.
Joey'd like, do you like this?
Yeah.
So we came to the conclusion that, I don't want to put you in a box necessarily, Joey, but like we came to the conclusion that it has to be not messy and not quote unquote complicated, which could mean a variety of different things.
Yeah.
But I just don't, I think you just like not a lot of things going on. You're like one topping pizza guy. You can eat one topping pizza. Now you threw all of pizza under the bus.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating.
And then you backed up and parked the bus on the pizza.
Very interesting. Would you like to explain yourself?
Not really. Not really.
It's all right. You don't have to.
Pizza triggers me. Pizza triggers me.
Why does pizza trigger you?
I just think it's an overrated food. I don't enjoy it. There's way too many different combinations, like Hawaiian pizzas, for an example. It's a stupid combination. Then you got these stupid companies.
I don't agree with any of that.
Releasing these barbecue chicken style pizzas like California Pizza Kitchen. It is disgusting.
He hates California Pizza
Really
Kitchen.
does. Like just.
I think stupid.
There's been at least one reference to how much he dislikes California Pizza Kitchen for almost every week.
It's like an equal Basaccia reference at this point.
It really is. And then
wait, Basaccia is still a thing
for Clemson.
Yeah, California Pizza Kitchen is coming back, and he's coming back on Basaccia in terms of like mentions by Joey on this show. It's very, very fascinating. I love pizza. I think pizza is great. It seems like you are viewing pizza the same way, like I view bacon and beef, man. Like bacon gets talked about all the time, and I don't really get it. I'm fine with bacon. I don't dislike bacon.
Yeah.
But why does it have to be
I just
like,
don't care for it.
I could eat bacon all the time. That's what people do with pizza sometimes. Hey, but what do they always say about pizza, Joey? Even a bad pizza is still pizza, right? And I generally agree with that statement. I generally agree with that
They
statement.
also always say that any size of pizza can be a personal pizza if you try hard enough.
That is a good statement that people do too.
You know, that's out there too. Joey, do you think is the most mad you could ever be if you saw Tyler Ford eating California Pizza Kitchen? Like, do you think you have any more anger in you beyond that entire image right there?
Well, I would just say it makes sense for him being a terrible official. He's eating the wrong type of pizza. He has bad taste for food.
If he had
bad taste at officiating and a bad taste for food.
If he had better
does. Tiny
judgment,
baby Ford.
he wouldn't eat that crap pizza.
Yeah, I guess.
That's what Joey's saying, I think. Would you like to explain your newest ref that you have taken a hating to?
Oh, I've disliked this guy for a long time. When I saw him on the court going into the Spurs Celtics game, I knew it was going to be a long night. But it all started out with Jaylen Brown just getting pushed out of bounds. It wasn't too much of a contact, but you see these plays all the time. There'll be fouls. Jaylen Brown's had a problem with the officials. The last time against the Spurs, they only had 4 free throw attempts, and he let the officials have it post game and then got fined $35,000. This game in the second quarter, close to halftime, he got pushed out of bounds. He did not get the foul call, so he was letting Tyler Ford hear it.
Yeah,
and then
he giving it to him.
He was shouting profanities, pointing at him. Then Ford did a little face at him, then call a technical foul, and then that's when things really got ignited.
Now, when you say a
Brown.
little face, what do you mean by that?
He did a little
grimaced at him.
Hey, he earned it.
Did he get a Siobhan Shields? Did he boom him?
All right, boom.
No, he did not. He did not do that. He was just waving his arm around like whatever, whatnot. Then he turned his back, did that, and then Ford teed him up, and then that's when he just started going after him. Then that's when one of the other officials, I thought it was Ford that ejected him, but it was a different official that tossed him from the game, which for a big game like that, it was pretty soft to throw out one of the superstars in the league.
Is Jaylen Brown a superstar in the league?
Yeah, he is.
He's a known name. But
He's in the MVP.
It depends on
race.
how many superstars you think there are.
He's in the MVP race. I thought that race was done.
Yeah, it's definitely SGA.
Yeah,
These are the favorites
they're-
minus
they're-
1,000. I don't think there's a race.
They're
I think it's
gonna,
over.
they're gonna give it to the officials' favorite player, SGA, Mr. Free Throw Merchants.
You think
Sorry, Thunder
you
fans.
think the refs get to decide the MVP? Because if they do, they would
No,
definitely pick SGA.
No, they don't decide for the MVP. That would be stupid.
It would be stupid. It would be stupid.
They just
But-
decide
but-
how many points the
but-
MVP gets to score without having to play against the defense.
But immediately after Jaylen Brown went to the locker room, he took it to Twitter. He said, "This is what I've been talking about for a long time."
He did. I saw his tweet. Yeah, he earned the first one.
He did, but the ejection was uncalled for. He has some fault into it for really going after the officials, but he should not been ejected.
There you go.
At all.
So Joey, if you see Joey out and about today, you see him in the streets, you'd be like, "Hey Joey, I saw what's his name, Tyler, whatever."
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab a slice of Tyler Ford.
I see.
But I'm not a
I
fan
saw
of Tyler
Ford
Ford.
eating pineapple pizza from California Pizza Kitchen, and he's like, "Ah, this is the worst thing I've ever heard." Black Cat writes in, by the way, he says, "No one defending Meatloaf is absurd."
Oh, I like meatloaf. Like, I don't want to be cast upon those who don't like meatloaf. I've been texting with someone about meatloaf sandwiches. There's apparently a good one here in Omaha for me to
Interesting.
try.
I had a thing with the ketchup for a long time too, because I'm just out on ketchup.
Sure,
But it was very easy for me to get over. Like, I like
it's
meatloaf
like
now.
a garnish. Like it barely even exists.
Now, we never had it that much growing up as a kid. Like, we just didn't have that much like that. My mom just didn't make meatloaf very much. They make meatloaf probably 2 or 3 times a year for the meal at PBA.
Yeah,
for Nebraska games, and I kind of get a little bit excited when they
It's
do
good.
meatloaf day. Yeah,
it is good. No, I've had that.
They do a nice job.
Yeah, I think meatloaf. There was quite a few foods on there that I was unprepared to hear. You know, clearly, and so
all of pizza.
a lot
but
of it
really,
is-
we got
just-
more
it's just-
explanation.
It's just foods that's not for me. I did not say in the tweet that I dislike or well, I said pizza is overrated in my opinion, but it's just foods that I would
Joe,
not
you are
generally
allowed to
eat.
have these opinions.
Of course you are, and we got to the bottom of it. You still like some pizza. You're in on some pizza. It just has to be a certain way.
Yeah, it's just to be a
And maybe
certain
only
way,
a couple
but
times a year.
But generally, I don't prefer eating pizza on a regular basis.
And it's not from California Pizza.
Definitely not California pizza.
Which is there like an origination as to why that's your most hated pizza joint?
Yeah, what happened?
I tried California pizza several times in the past, and barbecue chicken pizza was one of them. And obviously, the barbecue sauce was the pizza sauce, and it just did not go well for me.
Now, did you get this in the airport? Because that's like the
No.
only time I've ever had
It was one of those frozen. It was one of those frozen boxes.
Oh, you bought it and brought it home, and it made you sad.
Yeah, it was one of those
That
family
happens.
dinners we had
That happens.
a long time ago.
That happens.
I'll see the California Pizza Kitchen in the airport. I'll just stay away from it.
I'm gonna see California Pizza Kitchen in them streets. You better watch out, California Pizza Kitchen. That's what Joey says. One more thing before we get
Tyler
to
Ford can't save you.
one more thing before we get to Lauren Michelson. The trade that was not yesterday in the NFL. So remember the Maxx Crosby trade where he was going to get traded
that
to
was
the
on like
Ravens
Monday.
for
It was over the weekend.
2 first-round draft picks, a 26 and a 27. And it was like, whoa, we got traded for 2 first-rounders. That's kind of crazy. Yesterday evening, the Ravens backed out of that Maxx Crosby trade, and the Raiders said the Ravens backed out of our trade with Maxx Crosby. We will have no further comment at this time, bringing a lot of things to at least be wondered about at this point. Number one, what do the Raiders now get for Maxx Crosby, which
Less.
seems like maybe
They're
it's
getting less.
damaged goods at
Yeah.
this point. Why would the Ravens back out of that trade? What happens? Like the 2 teams were already kind of spending as if they had their payouts from those trades, including the draft picks and Crosby. You have to build around it significantly from a cap perspective. So that changes that the Raiders are kind of screwed because they still have to trade Crosby.
And everyone knows that they have to trade him, and they're not going to get the same value for him.
Indeed.
Meanwhile, the Ravens like pulled an okey doke on this where, oh, well, we don't have to give up 2 first-round picks and we can get an edge rusher and Trey Hendrickson. Yeah, we'll do that. And so they did.
Yep.
And it's not going to be great. Then you feel bad for Maxx Crosby, who's kind of just caught in this weird middle portion.
He's stuck in never-ending Raider dumb.
Yeah.
He's Raider maxing.
Well, and my assumption is he'll end up getting moved to somebody else, and then he'll go have like this big season.
I'm sure.
There's a part of it where if you're like an enterprising organization that needs pass rush, go get Maxx Crosby now. He's probably never going to be more motivated.
There's never.
And if you have the Ravens on the schedule,
he'll never be cheaper. Well, he'll probably be cheaper later.
What if you have the Ravens and the Raiders on the schedule? That seems like 4 sacks guaranteed right there.
Easily.
So, and he's good. Like Maxx Crosby is really good.
Yeah, he's like a dominant NFL player. He's one of the few of those that we
he's
have.
Someone where like giving up 2 first-round picks doesn't strike me as an overpay for what he can bring.
Why does this stuff only happen to the Raiders?
That's a very good question.
Why does
Why
does the dumbest stuff always happen to the Raiders?
I don't know.
There has to be something to like the dumbest organizations. They just get constantly not rewarded and stuff like it just keeps being dumb and dumb and dumb and dumb over and over again.
It fascinates me because like the Vikings have done a lot of dumb things, including the draft pick thing where they ran out of time or where they didn't get their pick in when someone else ran out of time.
Pretty funny.
I mean, they literally just watched a Super Bowl winning quarterback leave their organization so they could
funny
utilize the services of one JJ McCarthy. Then you have like the Bears, you have all these organizations where dumb things happen. But continually, the Raiders are at the center of stupidity.
Mm-hmm.
And it is just remarkable how they find them.
How long do you think they have been our stupidest team? Because they've been
definitely
good.
2 decades.
They've been good a little bit through this period of time, but they have been our stupidest team for a long time now.
Since the whole John Gruden, Bill Callahan thing.
They would point at like, oh, Al Davis was like making decisions and probably not the best football mind to be doing it. And they're the NFL's outlaws, so they already sort of exist in this weird plane anyways.
Right.
But this was once like a revered organization in the 70s and 80s when they were winning titles. And like John Madden is a revered NFL head coach. He was a head coach of the Raiders. And yet now you think of him as this weird laughing stock of the league.
I do. I don't think of John Madden any differently, but I think of the Raiders.
The
Raiders, I mean, for most of my NFL watching life, the Raiders have just been like this. There's just been the dumbest things happening to the Raiders. And when people try to tell me like, oh yeah, no, this is like one of the premier franchises in the NFL, I'm like, that is a ridiculous thing to say.
And historically, it's accurate, but your eyes in your last 30 years are like, well, how?
They've only ever had stupid things to happen.
Like, of course, they're the team where the tuck rule happened.
Sebastian Janikowski
attempting 75-yard
attempting a 75-yard field goal,
which is now normal. Brandon Aubrey's going to do it.
I know. Everybody's kicking 75-yard field goals now.
It'll count for 4 in the UFL.
Yeah. Baymon says Fabian Washington is online too. They do love to do the thing where they draft off of measurables. Yeah. They're like, who's the biggest guy? Who's the fastest guy? But then, we want both of those guys.
Even when they don't do that, they draft a guy who it just turns out that everybody missed that he has a hole in his heart, and so he can't play anymore. And then
how about the one guy who, got in a
they draft
situation
Ruggs, who I think is a good wide receiver, but maybe not the best driver of a vehicle that's ever existed.
While under the influence.
Now his life is completely different.
Yeah. Not good. Not good at all. So we hope the Raiders can pull themselves out of this Raiderdom.
They hired John Gruden and Mike Mayock.
Maybe that's how you reset the deck.
No, they did that already.
Well, maybe they redo it again and then they reset the deck. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, this didn't work the first time,
but
let's run it.
But it cancels out all the bad juju.
What if so instead of Mayock and Gruden, they hire a version of Mayock and Gruden, but it's an updated version.
Okay, who's modern day Mayock and Gruden?
You need your NFL draft analyst.
Yeah.
So it's finally Mel Kiper works for an organization.
Yeah, it's Kiper and like Ed Orgeron or something like that.
Ed Orgeron is an NFL coach. No way. Okay, who is on this? Bill Cowher. Mel Kiper and Bill Cowher.
Bill Belichick.
He comes back from the.
I mean, that's been talked about with Brady.
Yeah, I mean, they have Clint Kubiak, so he's got to be fired for this all to happen.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You got to reset it somehow. All right, let's take a break. Lauren Michelson is going to join us on the other side. But first, I do want to give you all an opportunity for something very, very special. How about a couple tickets to the Supernovas game on Saturday at 7 o'clock? If you would like to go, be caller number 3 right now at 402-951-1620. Caller number 3 right now, 402-951-1620, is going to get 2 tickets to Omaha and Indy Saturday at 7 at CHI Health Center. That is the Omaha Supernovas. Enjoy. Good luck. Joey will get you hooked up once again, 402-951-1620. We'll be back after this with Lauren Michelson on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Joey, who's got our tickets? What was it? Shane? Spencer. Nice job, Spencer. Congratulations. You're going to the Supernovas game on Saturday. That's what happens. Tell us which station made you a winner. 1620 the zone. That's what they would do. But we're not on FM radio. And we're not on television, but Lauren Michelson from KETV is occasionally. Lauren, thanks for joining. How are we?
I am good, you guys. How are you both doing?
Good. Did you were you surprised to see this? Like I mean, since working at a news station, you're probably pretty in tune with the weather. Were you expecting the snow this morning?
I should say yes, because they're right. I can't tell you how many times we get off set and I'll look to Luke or Bill and be like, I'm sorry, what's going on tomorrow? We're just in our own world.
Yeah, I believe
that.
that.
No, I woke up and was shocked. But that's
it was a nice day at football practice yesterday. It was a busy day for you. We want to hear about the conversation that you had with Fred Hoiberg as well. But football practice last night, what were the vibes like? I mean, like that's really all we can sort of get.
Vibes only.
It's all we can get out of these 20 to 25 minute deals. I want to know from you what the vibes were like.
I know it's so silly because you get such a small window, as you guys know, and you're furiously either shooting or taking notes, trying to get as much as you can. I mean, like the biggest thing everyone was watching, including myself, Anthony Calandria. I mean, it was great to actually finally see him, given we did not see much in terms of what they allowed us to view. But, two things stood out. One, how accurate he is. Like the ball was consistently making it into his receiver's hands in, easy situations, but still compared to Latif and Danny Kalen, it was more than those two. And two, just as he has a great presence on the field, like guys seem to love him, handshakes with teammates, laughing, smiling, loose. Like he did carry himself like a starting quarterback, which was cool to see. Taking those first team reps, of course. He is smaller than I realized, but he does move well. So anyway, I think the idea of a quarterback competition with him and TJ will be good for both of them, even though we know that it probably will be Anthony starting. But other than that, I mean, like offensive line looked huge. That's just good to see in person. Like that is what an offensive line is supposed to look like. And then a lot of buzz, and for good reason, around the linebacker room, like Owen Chambliss, Dexter Foster, like they have some impressive size. And, it was cool seeing Rob Orich spend a lot of time with that room yesterday, too.
Did you have a favorite amongst the handshakes of which you witnessed? Like, I assume there's different ones for different guys.
There was like, I don't know if I'm saying, I don't remember who it was with. Was Mackay maybe? He was doing some like Spider-Man. I may be butchering that, but he was like something crazy. It looked like Spider-Man to me. But
that's just become my son's favorite player right there.
Oh, good.
So you were over there at football, but you were also in Lincoln as well, where you got to sit down with the newly extended head coach of Nebraska basketball, Fred Hoiberg. What did you kind of make of the conversation, and how do you feel about the extension and everything that's played out with the season Nebraska's had?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously we talked a lot about kind of just a more reflective conversation that will be airing in full Sunday night on KETV this Sunday. We have a Selection Sunday special, a little promo there.
Nice.
But he just seems so gracious to the university and to the opportunity to finish his career here in Nebraska, which I thought was cool for him there was no kind of dancing around anything. Like he did say multiple times, like, I want to finish my career here, which I thought was great. And he just loves this team and he loves living here. He loves his fan base. But it was interesting to hear him talk about like what was the catalyst of this winning culture. And kind of two things go into that. He oftentimes credits and comments on that 2022-23 team with Sam Griesel, DeJuan Gary, Emmanuel Bandamel. And he really believes that group sparked a lot of the success. But it was interesting to see him tell me yesterday how he broke up his staff this year differently than he's ever done before, like much more separated for offense and defense. He compared it to football and obviously gives so much credit to Nate Lenzer as the defensive mind there. But that was he really thinks that made a big difference in just the way in which they play such tough defense this season.
Yeah, I thought the line about him ending his career here, I mean, it's funny because it sort of hit me, and I'm like, oh yeah, because I never really considered that he would leave, even though a coach of his
caliber,
a coach of his caliber, and the fact that he's won, he might win National Coach of the Year. He's about to, he's just been named the Big Ten Coach of the Year by some. Like he would absolutely be full of job offers at this point. I don't know why we don't think about Fred in that light, but he's only ever given off the sort of vibe that this is where he wants to be as long as they're winning.
Yeah, like because I started the interview by asking, of course, about like Big Ten Coach of the Year, which he barely comments on. Like to him, that is, of course, as it should be, absolutely a team award, and like that doesn't even cross his mind to consider talking about much at all. But when we get into the contract stuff, like he's thanking everyone, and he said it unprompted, like I want to potentially end my career here, and then I circled back to it, and he's like, yeah, I hope I'm here for a long time. Like we hope to end our career here, meaning him and of course his wife, and who he gives so much credit to, which is great. But yeah, I thought that was cool to hear too, because you kind of do think like, well, he is having all this success, like could he go somewhere else? Like good thing they got the contract done and he's locked in through 2032, but you never really know. But no, I imagine like he's a honest guy, and I believe he's here for the long run.
Lauren, you're headed out to Chicago sometime here this week to get over for the Big Ten basketball tournament, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we leave tomorrow.
Now, but that takes you out of state basketball. So what's
yeah?
It's very interesting, Lauren. Interesting.
Yeah, it does take me out of state basketball, which is sad because state hoops is awesome. But you guys, hey, put me in Chicago where there's like a Portillo's, Illuminati's, Giordano's, and some good basketball.
California
like,
Pizza Kitchen.
Nobody's arguing with you. You got the better end of the deal here. There's no doubt about that.
But what I was kind of working up to, you went on the road for Michigan, you went on the road for Iowa, you're going on the road for the Big Ten tournament. Does Nebraska need to win on Friday afternoon for you to definitely have a spot to go to the NCAA tournament game? Is this a discussion? Could you be a jinx?
Oh, no. They need to win Friday, but no bad. I'm not jinxing anything. Like I've had some comments like, yeah, I'm good luck. We're going to reverse that narrative because I've had some text messages after losses.
As the day gets closer, we're looking for every reason to make sure that this gets done for Nebraska. And if you're coming in with a 3-game losing streak on the road.
You know what? If they were to lose Friday, we can talk. I don't imagine they will. And we will have that discussion next Wednesday, but I feel confident. You know, they said it yesterday, like they are going into this tournament to win a Big Ten championship. They said, you know, we are not going there to lose, and they're just taking a very, very disciplined approach here into the postseason. And that confidence is pretty evident. So because of that, you should have full confidence in me to not bring any bad vibes there.
Right. Okay, so Sunday, the selection show special and the Hoiberg interview, we could both find those on KTV Sunday.
Yes. Sunday night after the 10 o'clock show, a half hour, Andy breaking down the bracket. He's a guest on, and then a couple stories, and a full interview with Coach Fred Hoiberg.
Do you want to make any predictions as to what seed Nebraska would be or where they might be playing?
I'm like, at this point, it's a lock for me. 3 seed, Oklahoma City. We're booked and ready. If it's not that, I'm going to have to reverse all of my thinking. So I'm just manifesting that right now.
It's the way you do it. You just go all in on one, and then
what I did,
react to whatever. And
then I've insulted the city of St. Louis.
Oh man!
All right, Lauren. We appreciate you joining. Have fun the rest of the week in Chicago, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, guys. Good talking to you.
Lauren Michelson from KETV. Selection show special.
I know. It's crazy. We're here.
Will Nebraska do a selection show party extravaganza?
They have to. I think some of it is they want to figure out if they're going to be in their locker room or not at the United Center after they win the Big Ten championship. It'd be harder to do the selection show with the team all there. Now, will Pinnacle Bank Arena just be available for the general public to go watch?
Yeah.
That could be a possibility.
Yeah. I think with the team there or not, you got to crack that thing open, right?
I would think.
Sell a couple beers.
But,
throw them onto the floor.
Do you think they'll have a whiteout for it?
Yeah. Maybe they'll play memes.
You would think this would already kind of been mentioned.
Here's what you do. You go, you play the selection show, and during the breaks, you do memes of the year.
Oh.
Memes of the year.
Okay.
And everybody laughs and says haha during the timeout because this is not a stress-packed situation anymore. Selection show is easy breezy.
Yeah, well,
You're
I
in that
think
sucker.
I think you just air all of the videos that they do. You probably
cinematic recaps.
You probably haven't been to a Nebraska basketball game in the arena this year, right? Like a men's game.
I haven't. No.
So they have their like video content that they'll have during breaks and everything, and one of them is they're doing this thing where Berkay is a judge and he wears the robe and he has the gavel.
I have seen this.
So
Yes.
like they could continue to they have more than just the one dispute, the parking lot shopping cart dispute.
Mm-hmm.
They should play the rest of those during the breaks.
Like
I think
the
that
full
would,
director's
the
cut?
levity would be good.
That's a
for
good
that.
idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
I actually want more of those.
So they got to crack it open. I don't know. I'm sure they have plans to do something. But
Yeah.
they got to crack that sucker open, whether the team's there or not.
It is very weird where the only drama of this is where Nebraska will play. Like, I'm not even thinking about their
I know.
seed because I think they're pretty well locked into a 3. Maybe they can fall to a 4. I don't think they can get to a 2. It's just basically, is it like going to be Oklahoma City? Is it going to be Philly? Is it going to be Tampa? How quickly am I going to have to like get a flight if it has to be a flight?
Let me ask you this, Schaefer. If a person were to be just wondering what would happen if they ended up in like Buffalo or somewhere that people aren't prepared for,
Yeah.
maybe like kind of wanting that to happen in the back of their heads, what would you think of that person?
It'd be along the same lines as Joey talking about Nebraska losing their next 2 games. And then the little smile that he has. And I think to myself, I hope all of his meals taste like California Pizza Kitchen.
But it'd be funny if they're a 3 seed and everyone's like, oh yeah, they're a 3 seed. It's gonna be Oklahoma City. It's gonna be the best. We're gonna be all up in.
There's
that
no
thing.
guarantee that it's Oklahoma City for sure.
But people seem to think that
It's
it
the
is.
most probable outcome.
Yes,
but that doesn't mean it's going to happen.
I know.
So
I know.
it.
But I feel like people have worked themselves into shoot now. They're like this. There is no other option for me.
Well,
and Lauren just said it's like she put all the chips on the table. It's Oklahoma City or bust.
It's like you making the bets on the national champions. You're spreading all of those chips across like 12 teams.
That's true. It's called hedging.
So
Yeah.
you're you have to.
I was saying you guys maybe should have hedged a little bit.
Well,
you got to throw in some emotional hedging.
I did hedge. I have spots that are booked other places.
You removed your
The
hedge
biggest-
position. Though,
The
didn't
biggest problem is going to be going from the likelihood of being able to drive somewhere to then dealing with the headache of the airport.
Planes
Like,
are
that's
bad, folks.
And this is not a great time to be flying.
It is not.
So, again, very much would prefer Oklahoma.
I saw another update from our dear friends at the Omaha Epley Airfield yesterday, and they were like, "Yep, every single parking garage is full. Good luck."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Whoa, this is not good.
Not a good time.
Spring break plus they
Yeah.
got all these charter problems and stuff like that. I don't.
But it's going to be Oklahoma City, so it doesn't matter.
Totally.
Yeah.
And don't even worry about emotionally hedging at all.
Not even worried about
Don't
it.
even consider it.
I mean, here's the thing: like wherever it is, I'm going. So it's not like it then just becomes a.
Yeah,
is
you're
there-
going. You're
is there an
going.
hour worth of stress where I have to figure this all out? Sure. And then am I going to stress about the stupidity of the airports? Sure.
It's like having,
But
know,
ultimately, I'll be wherever they play, and they're going to win their first game, and it's going to be amazing.
I don't know what the right comp is here. It's like having something really, really awesome and still net awesome happen to you, but it's just like ever so slightly annoying the result.
It happens when you have a
It's like,
hangnail and
I won $1 million, which is like net amazing, but also now I have to pay all these taxes or something like that, or I have to, people
I would happily pay the
Yeah.
taxes on $1 million.
or people expect me to pay the bills on stuff.
I'll
now.
happily book the flight to Buffalo to
Right.
watch Nebraska play as a 3 seed.
That's what it is.
Because the
Just
option,
a
like
minor annoyance.
it's what they tell you beforehand. It's like you're going to be a 3 seed, but you got to play in Buffalo. You're signing up for that. I'm not.
You
like,
are, of course you are.
It's
course-
just
it's
a
a
matter of
net
dealing
positive.
with the stress in the moment.
Let's take a break. We'll be back with our Bracket sim of the day. Where will Nebraska end up? They went to the Sweet 16 yesterday.
I think this is
We
the
are
day.
we are waiting for
This
either.
is the day.
I want either a first round exit or
Already
a final
happened,
four.
don't
or a-
need to do
or
it
a
again.
Final four. It's today the final four day.
I think this is the day.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone. And speaking of that, if you were just listening with us on the radio, 1620 The Zone, you heard the voice of Ben North. The Blue Jays were jobbed last night at LSU. They were homer balled, and both literally and by the umpires.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Tight zone?
There were some very interesting things that were going on in that game as it pertains to calls made things of that nature.
Were the umps having some California pizza by any chance?
They may have been drunk on California pizza, which caused them to be bad at their jobs.
Do they have Pat Driscoll's bad eye?
Maybe they do. Maybe they do. But the Jays couldn't get out of their own way enough and gave up a grand slam and lost 8-4 last night. They will stay in the state of Louisiana for a couple days, eat a couple po' boys, and then go to play Tulane this weekend, who is a good team and has great uniforms.
Yeah.
So that's what I know about the Green Wave. The Green Wave? Yeah.
Green Wave.
Green Wave.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the
Sorry,
Green
I
Wave.
second thought myself on that. All right, bracket sim of the day. Here we go.
Okay. All right.
Schaefer
Lock
is
in.
claiming that today is going to be
Locking
the day.
in.
I haven't ran it yet, so don't look at me. All right, I have
Locked in.
I
I'm going
have
to look
it.
at this guy talking about why golf is hard.
I haven't ran it yet. All right, I have found Nebraska. What do you want to know? You want to know Nebraska's situation first?
We'll get the usual thing out of the way, which is the 4 number 1 seeds are the same as they were yesterday. Florida's the 4th number 1.
Yes.
Okay.
Indeed.
Nebraska's in what quadrant?
Top right.
Yeah, they've been there a lot.
They have.
Michigan, the number 1 in that?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the Chicago region.
That's what we are to believe.
All
Yes.
right. Who is the 14?
Troy.
They get Troy again.
People are worried about
Sun Belt
Troy.
champions.
Is this the day that Troy finally knocks off Nebraska?
I don't think so.
It is Troy versus Nebraska, 3 versus 14. Today is not the day. Nebraska wins.
Let's go.
And Schaefer's brain remains safe for
6
at least
versus 11
today.
is what?
6 versus 11 is yet again BYU.
Oh, man.
This time they get Santa Clara,
So yet again, it's Oklahoma City
who will
or
make,
Portland.
Santa Clara lost in the WCC final last night to Gonzaga. So they're in bubble team, obviously, as an 11. And they beat BYU.
Oh,
Santa Clara, Nebraska for a spot in the Sweet 16.
Now, we have seen Nebraska play double-digit seeds and lose to Hawaii. We have seen them lose to Ohio State. And I think there was one other one.
There was
A&M.
I think there was 2 more.
Texas
actually.
A&M.
Yeah.
So for sure, A&M, Ohio State, and Hawaii. Is Santa Clara going on that list? I'd say no.
They are.
Dang.
Nebraska has been eliminated by Santa Clara.
Keep losing. I don't like this game.
Why do they keep getting eliminated by bad teams?
I
Not
guarantee.
bad teams, but double digits.
I guarantee no other threes have lost as much as Nebraska to these double
there's
digit
no
teams.
doubt. There's no doubt. Nebraska has lost as a 3 by far the most
I
times.
am starting to doubt the validity of this bracket.
Hey, at least they win a game.
They do win a
They
game.
win a game.
Everybody gets to be happy.
It's a
I want to beat
celebration.
Santa Clara.
Santa Clara goes to the Sweet 16 where they play Houston and get absolutely obliterated. I'm sure, even though there's not a score
There should be
attached
mock
to it.
scores.
There should be scores and there should be locations. I agree. But Final Four is so chalky that it's just all 1 seeds.
No, so that could be chalk, Evan.
Incredibly boring. Duke wins the national championship. There will be the number 1 overall seed.
I hate this bracket.
Yeah, this is a bad one. This is a tough one. Some more goofy stuff that happens. Let's see.
All right, where's UConn? Let's do this.
Oh yeah, you hate UConn. UConn is the 2 in the Florida
They
region.
make it to the Elite Eight.
Nope, they lose in the round of 32 to Miami.
Now that's gonna happen.
This bracket is back.
I hate this bracket.
Would you take it?
No, I'm not taking that.
Considering Nebraska gets a win, you wouldn't take it?
My narrative team is Illinois. Let's see where they end up. And remember, my narrative is that they suck. Or not that they suck, but that they're going to get bounced early. Where are these boys from Illinois? I should be looking at the 2s. There they are. 2 seed Illinois loses in the first round to Furman. Yes! 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 Yes!
No, this is a narrative confirming bracket.
This
in
is a
some
great
ways.
bracket.
All right, let's find out other ones. Vanderbilt.
Oh, yeah, Vanderbilt. What are they going to be like?
This
an
is the
8?
blind. I have them losing in the first round, no matter who they play.
What are they going to be like? An
A
8?
5, I thought 5 or 6.
Oh yeah, a 5. They get Stephen F. in Austin in the first round.
Stuns them.
Nope, Vanderbilt wins. And then they beat Kansas, and then they go to the Sweet 16.
Now
That is a narrative nightmare for you.
Stop putting these things together, Evan.
Vanderbilt versus Kansas is a nightmare for
Good
Schaefer.
Lord.
He does not want that.
I don't even have a dislike of Vanderbilt. I just don't think they're that good.
Vanderbilt loses to Duke in the Sweet 16 for the record. So Sweet 16 teams would be Duke, Vanderbilt, Louisville, Kentucky. A Louisville, Kentucky Sweet 16 would be hilarious. By the way, Miami of Ohio loses to Louisville in the first round. Florida, North Carolina, Purdue, Miami, regular Miami, Michigan, Arkansas, Santa Clara, Houston, Arizona, Alabama, Wisconsin, and Villanova. Wisconsin beats Gonzaga, by the way, to get to the Sweet 16.
Okay.
We're gonna take a Creighton Andrew call right now. All right, we got like 2 minutes. Andrew, what's going on?
All right, I'm late. I slept in today. Sorry, guys.
What do you got?
I'm just wondering if you've heard anything on the Kansas State Huss rumor.
Not really. No.
I mean, I don't. Do you think there's any meat to it that he could possibly go there?
I do not believe that Huss is leaving. No, not even really a little bit.
And did that Detroit Mercy team win last night?
Schaefer, you were being a sicko watching college. Did the Detroit Mercy thing happen?
They lost to Wright State.
Oh, damn. I was going to put them in the Sweet 16 if they won.
Well, they won't make a tournament.
Unfortunately, Andrew, you cannot do that anymore.
Okay. Well, they were my Cinderella.
All right. Well, thanks for the call. Good to hear from you, Andrew. There you go. Our bracket sim plus Andrew wondering about Al Huss.
Yeah, interesting.
It is interesting.
So he's definitely going to stay, but will he be the head coach? We don't know yet.
That I don't know. Yeah. We might find out. We could find out soon. Who knows when we'll find out?
Could find out tomorrow.
We could find out tomorrow. We could find out in 4 weeks. We could find out.
Weird.
I mean, that's when the crown happens. 3 weeks.
Yeah, April 1st to the 5th.
So weird. These tournaments happening over the portal is just so odd to me. It's so weird.
It's just the bowl season, but for basketball.
Remember when Fred Hoiberg was working the phones last year on the crown during the crown run?
He's calling everyone's like, I got a team.
Yeah.
I got a team.
I have Cale Jacobson.
Yeah, basically.
Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Cale Jacobson.
We're going to be great.
All right. Nebraska's out in the round of 32. Very, very sad on our bracket sim today.
Don't like it.
We just need one good run out of them before we end this bit.
Yeah.
We need one good run because Schaefer needs it for his mentals.
Well, I just don't understand. They keep losing these double-digit seeds. I don't think it's going to happen.
Before we send you to wherever you're going, maybe Buffalo, maybe San Diego, maybe Oklahoma City, or maybe
Greenville,
maybe St. Louis, maybe Greenville, we need to get them on a run in one of these bracket sims. We need that for you.
100.
Right. That will do it for us today here on the show. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. Let's do a crossover with our dear friend Matt coming up next.